struggles, winning game after game. The opposition has never been as heated, as fierce. Most elite chess champions in the world.
Hello, and welcome back to Week 2 of the Pro Chess League. As always, my name is Caleb Denby, and I'm joined by the wonderful Dorsa Derakhshani, and we are going to be covering the action here today, live on chess.com. As I said, this is Week 2 of the Pro Chess League. Of course, last Monday, the St. Louis Archbishops faced off against the New York Marshals, and actually had a very strong showing, scoring 10.5 to 5.5, but then we get an extra bonus 10 for winning the match.
Yeah.
So as it stands, actually, in the Western Division, our division, we are 1 point out of first place. There are 2 teams tied for first, the Argentina Krakens and the Chicago Winds, and we'll be looking to catch them today as we face the UK Lions.
Yes.
The UK Lions actually lost their first match, and so we'll be looking to make that loss number 2 today, I guess. Why don't we take a quick look and see what kind of format this match is actually going to be taking place in. There are, of course, 2 teams of 4 players. So both teams have boards 1 through 4. The time control is actually game 10 plus 2, not game in 15. That's a change. Sorry about that on the graphic. And of course, it is 8.5 points to win the match. So there are 16 games total. All 4 boards play all 4 other boards. So you need 8.5 to get the majority and win the match. Of course, once you win the match, 10 bonus points goes towards your standings in the division.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting match, especially with Tata still going on.
Yes, of course. I think, why don't we actually take a look at the pairings, and we can talk a little bit about that as well. Of course, on our team, Wesley So is playing this match. Here he is on board 2, and he, of course, has very, very recently finished a game in Tata Steel today. I believe he had a draw today. So maybe he'll be a little bit fatigued, having just played a full classical chess game. But he's here for us, playing anyways, on board 2, right behind our board 1, Leinier Dominguez. Of course, I guess not so recently, now U.S. player, switching federations from Cuba. That's happened.
A year, maybe?
Yeah, almost a full year, I think. Glad to have him on our team. Our board 3 is the astounding Liem, of course, former World Rapid champion, playing on board 3 for the Archbishops this week. And then our board 4 is a SLU student, Nikolas Theodorou. Of course, the title says IM, but his FIDE rating says some other things as well.
I believe it's 2550-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just played tournaments, so it could have went anyways.
Of course, as Mike Kummer likes to say, the strongest IM in the world, which, maybe is up for debate, but it's certainly one of the contenders. So yeah, Nikolas Theodorou is our board 4. And of course, we see our opponents here. Board 1 is actually at the bottom of the list for the UK Lions, Gawain Jones. Board 2, the wonderful John Spielman. And then boards 3 and 4 are a couple players I'm not super familiar with, actually. We have Max Berchtenbreiter on board 3 and FM Marcus Harvey on board 4. And of course, once again, titles can be deceiving. I think his FIDE rating is above 2400, perhaps.
Yes, that is true. The Marcus Harvey, even though he's an FM, he has 2412, I believe.
Right.
And the IM Max has 2491, so almost 2500.
So some deceptively strong players on both teams, perhaps. Now, I guess we're just waiting for the start of the rounds. We saw Leinier Dominguez actually playing some warm-up games here on chess.com against Big Fish 1995, who we thought was Fedoseev, maybe?
I still think so. Yeah.
Yes, Vladimir Fedoseev. So, Leinier getting a little bit warmed up. So the first week we were, of course, hugely favored. There is one notable player missing from our roster this week in Fabiano Caruana, which unfortunately, maybe he's focusing a little bit more on Tata Steel, which is understandable. But it gives Nikolas Theodorou a chance to show that he deserves to be on this team with these elite players. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do. What do you expect from Nikolas?
To get to GM as soon as possible.
Yeah, to get to GM. But how about today in this match?
Well, I honestly think he's not going to have a hard time today because he's a very good player. He might. The only match that I would, I don't want to say worry about, but maybe look more carefully at is his right now. His the first round with.
Of course, on board 4, Nikolas is going to be facing the UK Lions board 1, then the board 2, so he has a hard schedule. He plays from the top down.
Well, he's playing board 4 for our team.
Yes. And of course, Gawain Jones and John Spielman are both, chess legends from the United Kingdom. So it'll be interesting to see them in action here today.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I'm reading something about slight technical issues. That game could be starting in about 10 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we can fill the time.
Yeah.
As always, I think last week we were actually streaming on Twitch, but this week we're back on our YouTube channel. We are reading the chat, Mateo, and if you guys have any questions for us, we'll be happy to answer. It's great to see you guys all here, ready to go. I think it's going to be an exciting match today.
Yeah, it's. I feel like last week when we were facing Nakamura, I mean, it could have been a little bit worrier, I would say.
Gawain Jones, a legendary player, of course, but not quite on the level of Hikaru Nakamura in terms of internet chess and speed chess in particular. But that being said, of course, last week we had Fabi, and this week with Nikolas, we're not going to be favored in quite as many matches, but I think we still are very much the definite favorites to win this match.
Yeah, actually, I don't really know much about their boards 3 and 4, so if we indeed have this 10 minutes, we could take a little bit of time to look these guys up.
Sure. Of course, boards 3 and 4 for the UK Lions being Max Berkton-Breiter and Marcus Harvey. Who knows? Who knows who these people are and what they're doing in life? But very strong chess players, I'm sure.
Fun fact, my brother does live in the UK, so if he were here, he could maybe give us some insights.
Maybe he can phone into the show.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, and of course, one more time. So there are going to be 16 games spread over 4 rounds today, and we'll be covering all of the rounds, hopefully, barring any controversy. But 8.5 points to win the match, so I'm very much expecting the St. Louis Archbishops to do that. Of course,
I believe they will too, but I mean, honestly, I would feel more comfortable as if Fabi was playing.
Well, I mean, it's with Fabi playing, it's almost like inconceivable that they're going to score enough points against Fabi and then Wesley and then Liem Lee. But without Fabi on the team, we still very much have a deep roster. Nikolas Theodorou, like we said, one of the strongest international masters in the world, and also a bit of a speed chess specialist, if I could say so. He's very experienced in the Pro Chess League. He was a part of the World Championship winning Archbishops the past couple years. And, I've actually had the chance to play him personally, and it was not a fun game.
Well, when I played him in Saturday Special, sometime during last season, I had a pretty fun game.
Oh, did you?
I beat.
Wow, interesting. Well, that's why you're on the roster too, I guess.
Thank you. But he did have the upper hand most of the game, but I came up with some nice ideas, and I believe it was some sort of 4-knight. He was white. I ended up with a pretty neat attack. I wish I had that game saved.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but something that struck me about the way Nikolas Theodorou plays speed chess is he seems to be one of those players with the uncanny ability to just play moves in any position, right? There can be incredibly complex positions where it seems like you have to calculate and calculate and calculate, and I think a lot of players tend to move a bit slower in those. They freeze up. But my impression of Nikolas is that he's just able to play the moves that need to be played. Keep the game flowing, keep the game moving, keep the pressure on the clock as well as on the board. And I think that's a really powerful asset.
Yeah, I personally do remember I was in time trouble pretty early on in the game. But yeah, no, I feel like he plays a very logical chess. So instead of just sitting there and calculating so many moves, he tries to eliminate it and all those things that I'm trying to teach in my chess and psychology class, he's already mastered all of them. But yeah,
he does give the impression that he always has things under control, even when he very much doesn't, which is, psychologically, I think that's a powerful...
And that is true. I'm pretty sure I thought up until last move that I was like, am I better? What does he have? Why is he looking so happy?
Yeah, no, he's very stoic, very tough to read.
Also, from what I understood, he is studying. He has all science classes this semester. So let's see how he fit chess in his very busy schedule.
Yeah, that's a huge struggle for I think a lot of collegiate players. As collegiate chess is growing in the States here, and especially in Missouri, I guess, more and more very, very strong chess players are coming to these schools, but these schools are no joke, right? You have to spend a lot of time studying, spend a lot of time focusing on schoolwork as well as furthering your chess career.
Yeah, that is true. Well, today is the first day of school, so we get to skip it.
Yes. All right. So, still waiting for these games to get rolling
I don't
here.
really have any updates on how about the hopefully the delay being not so delay anymore. But yeah, the latest updates I had is about the technical issues.
So once again, thank you guys so much for joining us in the YouTube chat. We are going to get going here pretty quickly. We are just waiting on the players for their games to start. So no rushing these things sometimes.
Well,
why don't we take a look at some of the other standings in
it's a very
in our
great
division
idea.
here. So like I said, there are two teams that are a point ahead of us so far. And that is the Argentina Krakens, as well as the Chicago Wind. And of course, we had the wonderful St. Louis Archbishop's manager, Mike Kummer, on last week, and he was saying he thinks that the Chicago Wind team is really the team to look out for us in this division.
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to come up with something more powerful than I agree, but
So,
yeah.
As Mike was saying last week, you had the very, very strong Webster Windmills in the previous season, and I think another very strong Chicago team as well, and they've kind of been combined into this one team called the Chicago Wind. And
I see a lot of current and previous Webster guys.
That means they have players like Ray Robson, players like Ilya Nizhnik, players like Alexander Shimonov, and Quesada Perez is also playing, Aram Hakobian, and of course the youngster Andrew Tang is also on the Chicago Wind team. So Andrew Tang, of course, an internet chess aficionado. Everybody knows. I think he does quite a bit of live streaming these days and plays a lot of speed chess, breaking rating records across multiple websites. So he'll be one to look out for.
Yeah, I feel like this. Well, I mean, why didn't they just call this team the Webster? Something about Webster. I mean,
well, yeah, I don't know the details.
Yeah,
but,
it's very interesting to me. It's all of them seemed to have been at some part of their life in Webster. So.
Yeah, and of course, the Argentina Krakens was a bit of a surprise to see topping the leaderboard after round one. They do have some very strong players. The one name that sticks out for me is, of course, Federico Perez Ponce. He's been around the scene for quite a while now. And they also have a couple other grandmasters. Alan, I don't know how to say that last name. Picot? I don't know. And Diego Flores, as well as some international masters rounding out that team as well. But definitely the team I'm looking out for is the Chicago Wind. And then lastly, the other winner from week one is the undeniable Canada Chess Bras team. They have some very devastating players like Grishuk, Giri, Firouzja, all topping off their roster.
Yeah, I personally think this might be the team to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we would definitely have a harder time facing them rather than Chicago Websters. And
or the Chicago Webster team. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, this definitely looks like a roster to be aware of. Although it is worth noting that Grishuk, Giri, Firouzja, and even Robin van Kampen are all actually free agents.
Oh,
so I think that means that you can only play one free agent per match. I might be wrong.
I thought it was 2-2.
Could be 2 and 2. But that does mean we're never going to face
all four of them at once. Nice.
Grishuk, Giri, Firouzja, and then RVK all in the same match.
Oh, interesting. So two of the... I'm going to call them Persian blood because Firouzja, Persian blood, and I think I saw Aryan Tari lower.
Yeah, Aryan Tari is also on the roster.
It was interesting, so...
So yeah, definitely some teams to look out for in our division here.
I mean, to be honest, we have Wesley, Fabiano,
Yeah, no,
Dominguez.
I really do think we're the favorite against any of these teams.
Maybe we should go watch their commentary when they're talking about us.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet a lot of these teams are looking to us to be the team to beat, especially of course defending champions of the Pro Chess League. It's going to be tough to knock us out.
I'm still kind of waiting for updates or for the games to begin.
Definitely. Maybe why don't we actually? Thank
Something
God.
started.
All right. The
All right.
games are starting. We have
Yay.
Dominguez facing Marcus Harvey, Wesley So playing Max Berkenbretter, Liem Lee playing John Spielman, and of course Nikolas Theodorou against Gawain Jones. So which game do you want to jump to first?
Maybe just let's go by rating from our side. So
Yes.
let's look at
Leinier, of course, board 1 for us.
So Leinier has black facing their board 4, Marcus Harvey.
Yeah. So
Reti opening, but it doesn't look like the usual Reti. I mean, unless White's trying to play d4, then it would be transposed to, I want to say Zupertort, but alright, never mind.
yeah, something in that nature. But
Yeah.
we do see black go for an early b6 and bishop b7,
Yeah.
which sometimes is not the most advisable thing to do quite so early in the opening. But since white kind of took a more passive approach to the center with knight f3 and b3 and bishop b2, there's plenty of time to do this. And now with d4, white is looking to keep the pawn on d5, keeping that light-scored bishop out of the game. And so black probably going to be playing moves like c5, probably going to be looking to open up the center a little bit,
Yeah,
get
some
that
of
bishop
the
back
moves.
into the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the moves that are very common to be played in this situation is, well, the knight to be for black, the knight to put in e4. Not right now, but to try to do that. Well, definitely both sides are gonna do short castle, and if there is a knight e4, then you could try to support it more with the knight d to f6. Or even with something like queen e7.
Yeah, coordinating the pieces. And while the bishop on b7 seems a little bit stuck behind the d-pawn, it does support this e4 square.
I agree. I feel like black had a very nice start.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real problems for black here. Of course, you see a6 preventing any annoying knight b5 maneuvers hitting the bishop and the pawn. And I think this is going to be a comfortable game for Leinier.
I think so too. He should have it. All right.
All right, Wesley So seems to find himself in the midst of, I guess, some theory here. E5 is dangerous. What's going on
I'm
here?
sorry. I mean, it's neither. So.
Yeah, I mean, these top players all know their Neidorf theory.
Exactly. Neidorf's and Berlin's is like their breakfast. Yeah. So I'm not very familiar with this line, but I mean, I've seen games, but I haven't done personal analysis. But
so e5, we see
it
d
seems
takes
very
e.
interesting.
And yeah, Wesley seems to be spending some time here, which is a little bit concerning. But as long as he's solving the problems that White's posing, I think he'll be doing okay.
Well, one thing is that this e5 pawn could be in trouble sooner or later.
Yeah, already it seems to be under threat due to something like bishop takes g2 and knight takes e5. But Black does have to be a little bit worried about some knight c6 checks.
I agree. I mean, if White could put some piece in d6, that would be an incredible outpost, and that would be very scary for Wesley. But right now, I don't think. I think it's a very feisty game. I'm gonna call it that.
I don't know. I actually kind of like White's position here. I think a rook might come to f1, and then there's always threats of rook takes f7 to be aware of.
That is true.
There's also some knight f5 sacrifices in some positions, right? Bringing this g pawn to f5, and then moves like f6 and e6 to open things up. And
one thing that I've noticed, it really happens a lot when there is a huge rating gap. Like here, Wesley is about 300 rating more. Something that happens is sometimes, even though the higher rated player gets into a seemingly worse position,
right.
It's not easy for the opponents to find the concrete moves.
Yeah,
so,
and I mean, it's very tough to to actually knock out these top players.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes they do find themselves in unfortunate positions, but they are so resourceful and so talented that they just always seem to weasel their way out.
I feel like if this was a classical game with a lot of time to think for white, I would maybe be worried.
Yeah. And we do actually see rook hf1 here. Like I said, some threats of rook takes f7, some threats maybe even of knight f5, aiming for that d6 square. But I think it's still under control for Wesley. But that being said, how do you organize your pieces? Specifically, this knight on h7 doesn't leave a great impression. You might want to play knight g5, but then simply h4, and the knight's going to have to move again. There's not really anything to be done.
I feel like ideally, if you could make the c3 knight to be relocated, or
yes, so we see rook a c8. Potentially some rook takes c3 ideas, but probably just a b4 and pressure on the c2.
Also, the idea that I had was to do something like knight g5, and then you want to either play something like queen e4 and exchange the queens off and use your better pawn structure in the endgame, or you could do knight e4, and then maybe the other knight could go to c5. And I feel like if something like that happens, black would have such a strong center.
Yeah, in fact, knight c5 for black might actually be a threat, right? Because then after b4, the knight on c3 would have no squares. It would have to go back to b1, which is a little unfortunate.
Wow.
Oh, wow, and we see a tactic, I suppose, knight d5, which is going to be used in combination with a knight f5 move. So if you play queen takes d5, knight f5 will come, winning the queen. And if you play e takes d5, knight f5 will still come, and the king will have to move, and this is actually... This is dangerous.
Yeah.
I think this tactic is working, which is a little bit concerning.
All right, let's think about it.
Yeah, I guess king e8 is forced.
Yeah,
you can't capture this knight. Knight f5 would be too powerful, regardless of the way you capture it.
Well, the main problem is if the knight f5 was played, then regardless of where your king goes, the next move is knight d6, attacking the queen and the f7 pawn.
So I have a big question here. Rook takes f7. I think this is the only way for white to really justify this. But I think if it's working, then Wesley's just going to be dead lost. Can we take this rook on f7?
What if queen d5?
Rook takes f7, queen d5, you're saying?
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean,
I'm just shooting moves right now.
Yeah, I thought maybe there's a knight f5 move hitting a lot of pieces.
Queen e5 maybe?
Queen e5, there's rook e7 check.
King f8? Whoa, my head.
Rook d takes d7, it's looking dangerous.
Yes, it is.
I think, though, after rook f7, maybe I can play king f7, right? And if you check me, I'll play knight h f6 and give some material back.
Yeah.
And just try and survive.
That sounds very logical. I mean, black's pieces do seem quite uncoordinated, but...
Well, yeah, this game is looking to be quite complex. So rook takes f7, definitely a move to consider. I think it might be good for white, but it's simply queen f3 instead. And I mean, not to give our opponents too much praise, but I like this approach from white.
Yeah,
you don't go all in against Wesley So. You just play queen f3. You know you have a good position. Why not just play simple moves?
Yeah, it's quite concerning because how...
Wow, knight c5 very, very quickly. I was actually thinking knight g5 might just...
Knight f6.
Ah, knight f6, and then the queen on b7 falls. So of course, knight c5 defends the queen on b7 and the pawn on f7, removing both threats.
Well, now the question is, what does white want? Because if you give me one more move, I will take your d5 knight, or just play knight g5 and then pick on d5. So maybe white... I don't know. Queen f3 doesn't seem like the right move to me.
You know, if knight c5 didn't exist, queen f3 might be fantastic, but now that knight c5 is on the board, it seems as though Wesley has this back under control.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we let them think about this for a little while? There's two more games we haven't seen yet. This one between Liam Lee and John Spielman. It looks as though white has a nice central edge.
This looks really nice.
This looks like a Caro-Kann gone very wrong. So there's pressure on the c file, actually. The c6 pawn is looking a bit weak. There's still pressure on the king's side for white as well. I very much like Liam Lee's chances in this game.
Yeah, just a very quick look in the opening. It was indeed Caro-Kann, and the super classical ones. Well, yeah, the thing, I'm always very fond of this Caro-Kann structures. Well, for white.
For whites?
Yes.
I'm opposed to that opinion, but I'll allow it. I
Well,
guess.
I feel like I understand Caro-Kann more than French.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it depends, but I just simply have a very good result in French. But
Yeah.
this seems very interesting because, whoa. Like, I've seen a lot of ideas with Rook h3, but since Black played Rook h6, I guess it makes sense for short castle.
So, I've always been under the opinion that these structures are usually kind of favorable for Black when White trades off this many bishops. Because with the light squared bishop gone, there's not as much pressure on the king's side. Now with the dark squared bishop gone, there's not as much pressure against the d6 square, the c5 square, things of this nature for Black. So, in my opinion, I thought this would turn out okay for Black, but obviously Liam Lee has done something quite well in this game.
Well, the thing is, White has a very nice flow of moves when Black has to still keep thinking about where to place the pieces. Like, what do you want to do with this bishop?
Yeah, well, simply bishop e7. Just stay huddled in. Curl up in your carol
Yeah,
ball.
but then what are you gonna put the king? Just king f8, I assume.
Yeah, I think. Well, I'll play like rook c8 and c5 and king f8, and
That's what they did, actually, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, these are pretty much simple moves, because something like c4, you're gonna do it sooner or later, so these are pretty much,
does come on the board.
I feel like these are very simple moves, and even though you're giving up the d5 square as White, you have such a nice space, and I don't know, this is kind of my kind of position as White. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would much prefer to have control of the d5 square as well.
Right.
But, yeah, I just feel like White has a better piece coordination and a better space, more clear plan.
Okay. So, yeah, let's catch back up to the current position here.
So they did a bunch of maneuvers. Maybe they were going for repetition, almost.
Well, yeah, I think Liam Lee is the one to decline it actually with this rook d2 move.
Well,
as Black here, the only real break you can consider is c5, and with the placement of the white knights, that's really never going to happen here. So Black is kind of just sitting back, and I think Liam Lee is deciding if he wants to play for more. Of course, Liam Lee is actually our board 3, and John Spielman is their board 2, so a draw here, on paper isn't a bad result for us. But our board 3 is so strong that I think he would like to win this game.
Yes, and there's also, he's White, there's a huge rating gap, and he has a very good position. He has better chances. I'm going to call it like that.
Yeah, John, though, I think there's some pressure on the d-pawn now, and with one of the knights traded off the board, this dark squared bishop is controlling the knight on e4 the best that it can. I'm not so sure that this should be a ton for Liam Lee anymore.
Yeah, I agree. It's still, I feel like both sides are kind of comfortable. White might have more ideas, but realistically, I agree. It should be about the same.
All right, and then let's check on Nikolas Theodorou, our board 4. And how is he doing against Gillian Jones, their actual board 1?
I mean, seems like he is a pawn up.
Yeah,
but
if my math is correct, we have an extra a pawn. But this pawn on c5 could become dangerous if it's allowed to roam free. That being said, why not knight c4?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about.
If knight c4 doesn't lose tactically, then I think that's definitely the move to be played here. But it does look a little bit shaky, allowing so many pieces attacking e4 and things like that. But I don't see the tactic, so I think knight c4 is a great move.
I mean, if you place a knight on c4 and another knight on e5, this is just really, really...
yeah, once the knight lands on e5, the knight will land on c6, and once the knight lands on c6, the game is pretty much over.
Maybe knight c4, there could be like this queen h3. Oh well.
Yeah, threatening some checkmates on the back rank.
Yeah. All right, let's.
So rook a6 instead. I think the next few moves are really going to be pivotal in this game here. I think king g2 would be a good move for white. Like you said, queen h3 is a very serious threat. So we just play king g2, take our time, play knight c4, play knight e5. I think the game is well within Nikolas's grasp.
Yeah,
As
he's
you
gonna
see.
play king g2. Unless there's a cool tactic that I don't see, which I doubt. Well, that's
Rook c6. I don't know about this move. So h6 from black was, I think, designed to prevent any knight g5 moves. And now queen g4 is hitting the e-pawn, and I'm not convinced this is what we wanted. I'm not convinced at all. So there's
Yeah.
rook takes c5, and I guess this was the point of Nikolas's play.
but then knight e4.
Yeah, knight e4 would be a problem. But, you know, I suppose we're trading off some pawns. And a draw would be a great result for us here.
I
Nikolas
agree.
is by far the lowest rated player on our team, which at 2550 is saying something, but he's up against the UK Lions board number 1. So a draw for our board 4 against their board 1 would be very, very nice. That being said,
Let's take a look back at
yeah, I think
Wesley's
Wesley
game.
So's game is
Ugh.
developing.
Wow, what happened
And
here?
yeah, let's actually catch back up.
We
with,
were at
with
queen
what
f3,
happens.
knight c5.
Knight c5 and
Whoa.
b4. It was an interesting choice. But now, so queen takes d5 isn't quite right due to queen takes f7. So
Exactly.
instead we see knight g5 defending the f7 square and hitting the queen on f3. Oh, knight f6 check. Yeah, so a lot of tactics happening. We have to take this. Queen takes, now hits the rook and the knight. So black is momentarily up a piece, but white will regain it.
Yeah, you have to move the rook, and h7 seems like the reasonable place at this point.
Fun fact, I think castles is legal there. It's not good, but it's legal.
That is true. Interesting, yeah.
So yeah, rook h7, and then...
Oh wait, actually there is a king e8, king e7, king e8.
never mind. Castles,
Weird.
definitely illegal. Okay.
Yeah, after rook h7, take on c5, queen e7, wanting to trade off the queens, and if you don't trade off the queens, then I'll take your c5 pawn, so you kind of have to do it.
So the good news for Wesley here, he is technically down a pawn, but I think this is going to be a favorable endgame for black. White has made a lot of weaknesses trying to do this, attack down the f file. E5 is going to be weak, even g4 is going to be weak. C6, I think, is eventually going to be lost to the cause, although Wesley will have to spend some time to actually pick up this pawn.
Yeah.
And so I think this is going to be favorable.
Let's see how it progressed really quickly. So Wesley defended the pawn on a6. Wesley's trying to open up the rook on h7, but the opponent doesn't let him get away with it easily.
Yeah. And so g6 is giving up this g pawn, but in the hopes of creating some more weaknesses. In particular, if a rook lands on f6, you'll see it hits this g6 and e6 pawns.
I agree. So yeah, the rook did indeed go to f3, rook h5, attacking e5, rook e1 defending it, knight c5 defending e6.
Yeah. And now...
Oh, wow.
So,
Why?
wow, rook f1 gives up the e pawn in hopes that rook f7 is enough compensation, but I think now Wesley is
I think it's fine right now.
I think Wesley's
unless
winning.
I'm missing something terribly.
Yeah, rook d1, you simply play rook d5, no discoveries, c4 is covered, so there's no kicking this rook away. And now, once we take this c6
we have a
pawn,
result.
I think the game's well in hand. Well, Liam Lee has defeated
Wow.
John Spielman from
I
that carry
mean,
position
I
we're
thought
looking
he
at.
was more comfortable when we were looking at
Yeah,
the game,
what-
but I
let's
didn't
see what
think. I think we were somewhere around here.
Yeah, queen f3.
C5.
So black got impatient. Of course, c5 is the break for black if it's good, but here it seems that it didn't quite work out.
Yeah.
So we have rook takes d2,
Queen
queen c7, hits a couple pawns,
Wow,
but you
nice.
just simply knight d6, and f7 is attacked, so rook f8, c6
Okay,
now,
yeah.
and now we're starting to see how the cards fell.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing that really happens a lot when when there's like a huge rating gap, 200, 300 between players, is one of them gets impatient.
Right.
Usually the lower rated
Yeah.
player. And yeah, they try to open up the position or create more chances, and
And it looks as though
This
John tried a tactic here, trying to pin the knight, but after rook d8, white is simply up a piece and will be winning the game.
I agree. Yeah, this is how the game ended. Actually, well, yeah,
All right, so that's
Nice
the
win
first
for
point
us.
for the Archbishops.
yeah. Let's take another. I kind of want to take another look at Dominguez's game just to see
Yeah, I will
Whoa.
say briefly, it looks as though Wesley has solved all of his problems.
Oh,
And he's just
yeah,
going to be up
let's
2
take it.
pawns in an endgame.
Oh, also
or
he's-
perhaps just 1 pawn, but enough. He's going to be
His
up enough.
pawn's up.
Yeah.
He's like, he's also, wait, he is.
So, yeah, I'm expecting rook takes c6, and then knight takes h4, and then maybe simply king d5. Very, very active king, and plenty of targets to look for. This is going to be a winning endgame.
Yeah,
for
he's
black.
also 2 minutes up.
Yes. Okay,
Alright,
so I'm calling that one a win for us. Hopefully I don't jinx it. And then, what other games? Dominguez?
Yeah, let's take a look at Dominguez's game. It looks like a more comfortable endgame for, I want to say, black. Just because.
Yeah, this pawn on h4 is kind of stunting the white king's side.
Yeah, but.
That being said, the time is not so much in our favor here in this game.
Yes.
So the board 4 for the UK Lions is really putting up a strong showing against Leinier, our board 1 in this match.
I agree. This looks kind of.
In fact, yeah,
oof.
now the white rook is getting
Oh,
active.
it's 2 seconds. It
Yeah.
is.
So okay, Leinier has done this before. In fact, you know, I seem to recall he's of course playing the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, the
Yes.
elite over the board
That was
Rapid
also-
and Blitz tournament, and I think he kind of made a habit of being down to seconds on his clock. But a true professional, he was completely stoic. You know, you couldn't even like if you just looked at his face, you would think he had an hour on the clock.
And whenever I'm
So-
going intemptable, I start shaking a little bit.
No, I
It's-
think most people do. I certainly do. But Leinier is a true chess professional, and
Bishop
you'll
D7?
never see him break. So bishop d7 is forced. If you
I
take on
think
a4,
so.
there's bishop
Yeah.
takes a6 check. But now I think this is looking to shape up to be a simple draw.
I think so too.
Um,
I mean, probably there were some chances earlier, but at this point, I agree. It should be a.
Yeah, expect to see king c7, king d6,
Yeah.
and then all the weaknesses are defended for both sides. No path of entry for either king, and this game will be over. So that's a great result for the UK Lions, though. Marcus Harvey, they're board 4, drawing Leinier, our board 1. That being said, though, we do already have a slight lead in the match, thanks to Liam Lee on board 3.
And Wesley So. Wow.
And hopefully Wesley So.
I mean, it's-
yeah, Wesley's going to win this Rook endgame.
Uh,
Wait a sec, what happens?
uh,
Did Marcus just blunder a pawn?
not necessarily. He kind of gave up h3,
He
4
gave the
b5.
pawn. Okay.
But I mean, if you.
Is this? I mean, this isn't really a winning attempt, though. This is
No.
just a fancier way of making a draw, I suppose. Both kings are close enough to the passed pawns
Yeah,
to be able
exactly.
to stop them comfortably. That
I
being
mean-
said, very commendable by Marcus, trying to take advantage of the time advantage, creating complications wherever possible.
I don't think I would do that with white because even though it's creating complications, it's still pretty simple and I'm not sure. This is just
I don't think
really
White's
interesting.
really ever in any danger here. Of
Oh,
course,
wow.
the d5 pawn is on a light square, and so that's really the only target in
Yeah.
the position.
Interestingly, Dominguez just declined the draw,
Interesting.
but
Yeah, sometimes in these online matches, you just don't see the draw offer, or you
Oh.
move too quickly, and the draw
Alright.
gets automatically declined. But I think this one is going to be a very, very simple draw. So why don't we check back in on
ooh,
Nikolas
Nikolas's
Theodorou,
time.
who
Wow.
has 2 knights against a knight and a bishop, and all the pawns on one side of the board. This one feels like it should be a draw as well. But definitely, there's a lot of chess to be played here compared to Wesley So's game.
I agree. Because the last time we checked, we have another result. Wesley So just officially won. Woo.
Yes, he has defeated his opponent, Max Birkenbreiter, in this Rook endgame, as we expected. This was a very, very interesting game, though. Of course, Max putting up quite a lot of difficulties for Wesley, potential sacrifices in the air, but Wesley navigated the complications in a classic Knight Order style, transposed into, or not transposed, but simplified into a winning endgame, and managed to convert.
We also have another result. Our board 1, Dominguez did draw in this position, which it was expected result. So
Yeah.
we already have 2.5 points. So in this round we have 1.
Well, why don't we take a look at this game? Both players in some time pressure. Nicholas in a little bit of deeper time pressure, but I think this one should be in hand still. Although this is the type of endgame where things can still go wrong.
Yeah, it feels a little like he's suffocating.
Yes. Luckily, the knight on h2 keeps the king out of f3, and now this king is making its way back to the king's side, where it can hopefully defend these pawns and prevent any disasters.
I agree. I mean, I would prefer to be black in this position.
Yeah,
but
I mean, bishops are powerful pieces, I think. Wow, and
well
now maybe
said.
there's
Ooh,
well, maybe things are looking up for Nikolas. I think
I mean,
he's putting on some pressure here. Of course, f5 being on a light square means that only the knight for black can defend this pawn. Well,
knight
and the
d3?
king as well. Knight d3. There's a knight d4 check.
Oops.
Careful.
Yeah.
Knight h5 instead with a similar idea. I think he just wants to put some pressure.
Where is he trying to go? F4?
I think he's just stopping at any potential breakthroughs. And Nikolas now approaching equality on the clock, which is good news. King e2. And I think we might see a repetition pretty soon here. I don't think he's in any real danger of losing this game, and so it's just a question of how long Gawain wants to try.
He can't go on forever. Was there? Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. Knight f6 last
check.
move too.
So f2 is actually under threat, but now I think we might see. Okay, so he's attacking f5 in response to the threat to f2.
Is there a bishop e7?
And now I think we're actually going to see all the pawns get liquidated. Was there a bishop e7? I think
you could just move the knights, but then there might be a king e4. But
and now the last pawns are being removed from the board. And after bishop b8 and bishop takes g3, this will be a draw. And
he wants to keep going.
It's not official yet, but okay, g4 is a bit silly. This one, of course, the bishop more than enough to stop the pawn.
Okay, I want to ask, why are they continuing? All right, it's good.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, when you're so low on the clock, you don't want to risk trying to find the draw button and misclicking something, so you just let your opponent take your pawn and call it a day.
All right, this was good result overall.
Yeah, a good first round. The upsets of the round, of course, Liem Lee, our board 3, defeating the UK Lions board 2, John Spielman. And then, actually, surprisingly, the board 4s and the board 1s both ended up in drawn games.
Yeah.
Not something you see very often here. So Marcus Harvey really getting it done for the UK Lions, and Nikolas Theodorou holding his own against Gawain Jones, one of the UK, I think the UK top player right now. And very interesting to see. Maybe David Howell is above him at the moment. I'm not sure.
It's always
one of the
good in
best.
between. Yeah.
Yeah, those two, of course, at the top of UK chess for quite a while now. So that brings our score to 3-1 in our favor. And, of course, 8.5 is the magic number. If we get 8.5 points, we will win the match and go home with 10 extra points in the league standings.
We have 3 of it already.
Yeah, already at 3 points. Were there any key moments you wanted to go back over before the next round gets started?
In this, we never got to look at the opening, so we could take a brief look at it. Of course, Nikolas, and of course there would be Benoni. Well,
yeah, so
sort of
a Benko type of opening.
Benko,
actually.
Benoni coming up.
Mm-hmm. And so we see this b6 line from white, which is not fully accepting the gambit, instead hoping to make the black pieces slightly awkward.
Well, I mean, if you do accept the gambit, it's a lot of hassle, honestly, because it really helps your opponent develop.
Yeah.
Very quickly, and
I don't know. I'm a purist. The Benko's bad. I'm going to take all your pawns. I'm going to win the game. But b6,
Nice.
of course, a very respectable line. This is one of the main problems with the Benko, I think, actually. Is, black doesn't really get what he wants here. Black has to play this instead of this awkward opening. He doesn't have all the open lines, and that's what Nikolas chose to go with here today.
I mean, I agree. This is definitely looks more comfortable for white. White knows what they're doing. Okay, yep, the pawn is definitely coming to b4. And it's just a matter of time before there's going to be a bishop b2 soon, I hope. Yes, thank
so
you.
We do see black getting developed. All the pieces have found their squares, but notably white has also completed development as well.
Yeah.
And so no real problems for white here at all. Really nothing to attack for black even. And so white simply has the open file with the rook on c2 and easier play.
I agree. This seems comfortable enough for both sides, but I would say white is slightly more comfortable.
Yeah, just with the central space and the bishop on d4 centralized and the rooks coming together. Notably, I think that the queen doesn't have a very good square for black, and this is one of the main problems.
Yes, I agree.
So yeah,
well,
the queen comes to a8 actually to bring this other rook in the game.
interesting. Well, earlier when the queen was still on d1, I was thinking about maybe queen a1.
Yeah. Makes a bit more sense
Yeah.
for white than black, though. You get this battery on the long diagonal.
I agree. This is interesting.
Yeah, so...
Oh, Nikolas.
Well, interesting.
Nikolas not going...
declining a repetition quite early on, actually.
I mean, he felt... probably he saw that he has
So
opportunity.
he won this
interesting.
a-pawn with this rook a6 and rook a7 maneuver.
Wow, this is quite interesting. See, the queen doesn't really have anywhere to go. So you kind of do have to play rook c8.
Yeah, rook c8, aiming to get 2 rooks for the queen,
Yeah.
which I think Nikolas actually declines.
It was
to
pretty
go
cool.
in
Yeah,
for.
he did. And he just took the pawn. And I think this is the position we started looking at when we were thinking about maybe queen g2, but he played rook a6 and this rook c6.
I think this is really where his chances kind of died down when he
Yeah, I
traded his
think
e-pawn
so.
for the c-pawn. I would have liked to see king g2, but of course we're very, very happy about a draw here. So.
I agree. Well,
No complaints.
the thing is, if king g2, if they still, whoops. Well, where were we? I was trying to say something like, so I was, what I was trying to say is, here, if he did play king g2, if black plays queen g4, there could be this h3.
Yeah, I think h3 is working there.
Yeah.
Kicking the queen away so you don't have time to capture on
Exactly.
e4. But,
That might have been the more precise
yeah.
way to go.
So I think some missed opportunities in this game maybe for Nikolas, but like we said, very happy with the draw for our board 4 playing their board 1. And so this game, I guess, just kind of fizzled out into the drawn end game that we were looking at the end of the round. But why don't we actually take a look at our pairings for round 2 before we get underway here, see who we're up against. Of course, in the first round, it's kind of totally mismatched. Board 1 plays board 4, but in the coming rounds, we'll start to see some more level matchups. So now we have Gawain Jones playing our board 3, Liem Lee. John Spielman gets his chance against Nikolas Theodorou, our board 4. Leinier Dominguez is up against Max Berkenbreiter, and Wesley So plays Marcus Harvey. Of course, Marcus Harvey really put the pressure on Leinier in that first round there. Leinier down to just a few seconds.
We have a game
With
starting.
with that in mind, it looks like a round is ready to get underway, and why don't we check out and see what's going on.
So is playing Marcus, but I see that his connection seems to be kind of shaky or something like that. I hope that's...
A disaster. Of course, Wesley playing from Tata Steel. Maybe he's got some hotel internet issues. Hopefully he gets connected to this game and gets rolling again. But
what are the do you know about the rules if his connection is bad or something? Is he still...
I think the game just stands. I think he has. I think time will just run off his clock. I don't think he's going to get forfeited, but definitely if he doesn't connect, I think we're in trouble.
Alright, this game's making me nervous already.
Yeah, let's just click off this one. See the other players who are actually making moves. How's our board 1 doing against? Well, no, we can put this. So Nikolas Theodorou, our board 4 against John Spielman.
Surprisingly, the UK Lions played the London system. Yes.
Well, perhaps it fits.
Right? I mean, this also looks like a very comfortable opening I don't think there's much theory here. And it's more like you have a sense of where your pieces are supposed to be. I
Right.
might be wrong.
So of course this opening the story is the e7 pawn, right? For black, this is the problem for black to solve.
Yep.
White's gonna stack up on it on this half open e file, and black will eventually have to make some decision about what to do with this
I
pawn.
think one of the things that's coming for white. Well,
And so black very early makes this decision. He wants to play e5, trading off this weak e pawn for the d pawn perhaps. And I'm not sure what the tactical justification is here. Yeah, what if white just tries to capture this pawn? Okay, so knight d5, revealing the bishop and defending e5 adequately.
cool.
So now I'm expecting something like bishop h2 or bishop g3, and then black will recapture this pawn on e5 and actually have a little bit of a central advantage. Have one central pawn to
That
0.
was a pretty cute mini tactic, honestly.
Yeah, kudos to Nick, solving this e-pawn problem immediately and early on.
Yeah.
So knight e4, this knight aiming for a d6 square could actually be slightly awkward, but
I'm thinking, would it be too crazy to start thinking about moves such as f5?
yeah,
Thank you.
f5 might be it might be early. Of course, both the queen and the bishop can jump to this diagonal with queen b3 and bishop c4, so you kind of have to be certain. I would have liked to play a move like bishop e6 here, but unfortunately knight c5 might
Yeah.
cause some problems for black.
Well, I mean, if knight c5 is what worries you, can you just do something like b6?
Perhaps you can. I'd be a bit wary of committing this pawn to b6 as well, though.
Yeah.
Maybe the answer is to defend my knight on d5 a bit more, which seems impossible. I wanted to play something like knight c e7, but that unfortunately leaves the e-pawn behind.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
heard my-
b6.
Yeah. So Wesley is still not here.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. Yep, don't know what to say about this. Hopefully Wesley gets connected. I'm sure All-Star manager Mike Kummer is on the case, hoping to get him back in action. But
Last time he was playing in an airport, I believe. And now
yeah,
he's
Wesley
playing...
under some suboptimal conditions playing in these Pro Chess League matches.
Yeah.
Well, I think I like Nicholas's position here.
I do
think
too.
he's done quite well in this opening. Why don't we see what's going on some of the other boards?
Let's take a look at our board 1.
Yeah,
Khan
Leinier
again.
Dominguez. And we have here, if I can find the game, another Caro, as you said. And so black has done something interesting here with h6 and g5. You don't see this too often in the Caro.
I agree. The last Karakan we saw, the bishops for white were exchanged off, and white had 2 knights against a knight and bishop.
So this seems to be playing more in the style of like a French defense maybe, where black is actually playing on the king side and maybe looking to castle queen side. So I would expect to see black not play c5 quite so freely in this game, if that's where he's choosing to put his king.
Yeah, but at the same time, black's both knights and queen are zoomed in this e5 pawn on.
Yeah,
So,
that's a fair point. I was thinking maybe an eventual f6, but
well, that's why
very,
the
very
knight.
difficult to play.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this knight for white is coming to g4 to put more pressure on h6. Never again f6.
I mean, okay, I'm talking a lot about potential plans for black, but to my eyes, this looks losing.
Thank you.
Like,
Thank you.
knight g4 looks very, very powerful. I don't see how you stop it. You can't play knight f4. I'll simply capture this knight and play queen h7. You can't castle. Knight g4 just wins.
Oh, wow.
Wins material, right? Knight g4 is winning the h6 pawn, or if rook h8, bishop takes g6, and I'll be winning.
I mean, it
winning your
looks
f pawn.
like it, but maybe you can play something like rook g7. If knight h6, then rook h8.
Rook h8. I think there's knight f7 there.
Oh.
No.
Then
maybe
there's
not.
rook h5.
Yeah. Bishop f8
alright.
is defending for the moment. I expect now maybe we'd love to put a rook on f3, but the second a rook touches e3, knight g3 will come.
Maybe
So
b4.
Maybe
Wesley's
b4. Maybe a
still not
move.
here.
Maybe a move like g3 here. Could
Why?
be just to prevent knight f4 in any line.
But if knight f4, there should be some queen. Oh well.
Yeah, well, I want to play very simply. I want to play rook e3 and rook f3, and
Okay.
then f7 will be under a lot of pressure.
Why not just queen f3 then?
You could do that as well, but then, you know, rook g7 is defending for the moment, I think. I'd much rather have a rook there and keep my queen on d3 to pressure this g6.
I agree, the
knight.
queen on d3 looks much better. And unfortunately, Wesley So is still not here.
So we do see g3, and then Leinier does start to expand on the queen
I
side
feel
as
like
well.
this game should be under control.
I very much like Leinier's chances here. Well, which game haven't we really checked out? I guess Liam Lee's game. How is that going?
It started as Sicilian. Oh,
Okay.
knight c3. I grew up playing knight c3. Not exactly this line though, but it is.
So yeah, we see an early trade. This knight hops to c6 and then d4 and then b5, but we get rid of the light squared bishop for white.
It is quite interesting. I mean, you kind of.
So yeah, for those curious, I guess h6 is aimed at preventing knight g5.
Yes.
We would love to play bishop e6, but knight g5 is a problem, so we're stopping that before we get developed.
Oh, something interesting happened. I'm sorry, I have one eye here. They set it back to 10 minutes.
Interesting. Perhaps some graciousness from the Pro Chess League organizers, giving Wesley some time to get back connected. I don't know the details on how disconnections are dealt with actually, but we'll have to wait and see on this game.
I guess as long as they both get a chance to fight, but what I mean, both of them are kind of fun. All right.
Well, yeah, no, Marcus is also disconnected. It's some strange happenings. Perhaps this is the technical difficulties they're working out before the round starts.
Let's hope for. Wow. Dominguez just progressed pretty nicely.
Yes, so he continued pushing this a pawn, and black actually did go for c5 and followed it up with c4. Now after b3, Leinier hoping to open some files on the queen side, get at the black king, and he also has this very annoying pressure on really all sides of the board here.
Yeah, this is so my type of game. You're attacking here, attacking there, and
This is honestly as good as it gets.
I call it
for
the
white.
snake style.
The snake style, interesting.
Yeah, it's
A little back and forth. Never know which way it's
yeah,
going
exactly. Like you're like surrounding your opponent, and
Ooh, oh, so like more of a python.
thank you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, b3, I
Yeah.
think a nice move. I think Leinier is going to win this game.
Yeah, this shouldn't really shouldn't be much of a struggle, but there's always things happening.
So yeah, back to Liam Lee's game.
Yeah, I
so
think
this bishop did come to e6. Of
Yep.
course, the d5 square is very, very important, and once black commits to this e5 move.
I hate to admit it, but I kind of like the opening that white played. I mean, I am a big fan of this bishop b5s overall because there's so many lines in Sicilian, when especially neither structure, where you're just like, what am I supposed to do with this bishop?
Right.
So it kind of it feels very satisfying, I would say, that this bishop is knocked out.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like the, if I compare it to the Benoni, you kind of just have one too many pieces, right? You don't know where this bishop should go, and so you solve that problem first, and then the rest of your pieces have very natural squares to come to, and it's very easy to play.
Yeah, the other thing is, if by any chance black does get to play d5 in the right time, that would be extremely nice, because two bishops, you're playing the center.
Right.
So white is kind of trying to avoid that.
So this rook comes to c8, and actually comes out to c4.
This is pretty nice.
early.
Coming to e3, trying to go to d5.
Notably, though, this knight leaving f3 means the d4 square is undefended,
Exactly.
and perhaps this was black's idea here. Castles, knight d5, and we do see a bishop takes d5. Now I think this looks a bit more comfortable for black.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, the f5 square, though, is going to be important.
probably should be something like, you kind of have to, in these positions, I feel like since white's going to start pushing it c4, b4, you kind of have to start pushing f5, f4 at some point sooner or later.
Wow, this is giving up the h6 pawn. I don't know how I feel about that. Knight
What am I
d7 is
missing?
a strange choice. Yeah, to my eyes, I think something like king g7 was required. You could also play king h7, but defend your pawn. I don't understand.
I mean, if you play something like king, maybe king g7 might be. Maybe he was worried about a5 and then knight b6, but then you can, whenever a5, then you can just play knight d7.
You still have time. Very strange choice from Liam Lee. Why don't we try and get caught up here, though, because I think some more developments are
So
going
he's simply a pawn down and going for queen exchange.
Yeah, but, you know, if queen takes b5, then after a b5, the c pawn is going to be a little bit stuck on this half-open file. Certainly it's never going to be any better for black. Black is going to be worse, but I think this endgame isn't the worst thing that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So queen d2 is a nice move. I think g5 was going to be a threat if the queen exchange did happen. So here, white makes sure that the bishop has an escape route, as well as keeping the queens on the board. I'm expecting maybe rook c5 now for black, hoping to double on the c file and keep pressure up against c2. Although rook c5, there's bishop b3, so maybe rook c7 instead.
Yeah, but honestly, I feel like it got I want to call it unnecessarily complicated.
Wow, so
But
f5.
f5 seems pretty nice, because if you can get f4 and then you're trying to sort of like trap the bishop.
Right. Yeah, a similar idea to g5 maybe. Keeping this bishop locked on the king's side would be very, very advantageous.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look at, well, we still don't have Wesley.
Yeah, Wesley.
Well, we don't have Wesley or Marcus.
Nobody connected to this game, unfortunately.
We're connected.
Yep, Wesley, back up to 10 minutes.
But
The never-ending game.
yeah.
Why don't we focus on the games that are being played, though?
Wow. I can use this game for my game of the week.
Yeah, this is an interesting
cool.
one. I think Leinier is showing some real class here.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I really enjoy watching this. Let's go a little bit to see. Okay, so we were at b3, and when this got exchanged off, you simply want to put your rook in b6, and you're just doubling up.
So this is a very interesting game. A lot of times in chess, you see players have plans on opposite sides of the board, right?
Yeah.
One player is focusing on the king's side, the other player is focusing on the queen's side. But you don't see this too often, where Leinier is actually creating threats on both sides of the board at the same time.
Snake
And
style.
the idea is that with this advantage in space, the black pieces will be less able to maneuver back and forth than the white pieces. And so with this versatility with the central control, Leinier should be able to create some threats that black will not be able to respond to.
Yeah, see, right now this knight f4, knight f6 was played, and this knight is, even though the knight is not directly helping in the attack, but
so knight c8, I just want to mention I would love for black to play knight takes b6 so I can play pawn takes b6 and then sack on a6 and win the game. But well, we see a knight e8, so this is actually picking up the exchange for the moment. You can play knight takes g7, probably knight takes b6 will be played in response. But then after a b6, I really think this is going to be good for Leinier.
I want to say me
He's
too.
thinking about it. You know, I guess we're kind of committed though. If you play knight f6, there still is going to be a knight takes b6 move.
Yeah. This looks really interesting, but not really clear. Because, yeah, I mean, let's say you do play knight g7, knight b6, a b6,
Bishop g7.
bishop g7. Even though black's pieces are still uncoordinated, how will you continue with your attack?
Well,
Maybe
first of all,
black-
there's a knight takes e5 threat in the position, so I do have to deal with that, I think. As far as long-term continuing my attack, it's a two-move threat. I want to play bishop e2, I want to play bishop takes a6, and then I want to checkmate you.
Good.
So,
Ooh, maybe you can play like bishop e2. Even if knight e5, there's this bishop b5. Whoa! Ah!
ooh, a very nasty move from Leinier.
Yeah, see?
Queen takes knight.
I feel bad
And
that
so
we
if-
didn't talk about this.
Well, no, I mean, I simply didn't see this move. This is a great
Let's say
tactic.
we simply didn't have enough time to consider all the moves.
Yeah, I don't fully understand it though.
I mean-
pawn takes queen. What happens?
Rook b8.
Yeah, king a7. I guess I simply have knight takes g7, and I have quite a lot of material for the queen, and then your queen side has been completely fractured, and the king will be getting checkmated.
Hold on. What about queen c6?
Queen c6?
Just simply.
I think...
you just exchange everything off and take f7 at the end?
Well, rook c6, pawn c6, rook b8, king b8, knight g7, bishop g7, bishop takes f7. I suppose we are winning there. Like you said, you exchange everything and you take f7. White has 2 bishops for a bishop and a knight at the end of the day, and then this advantage on the king's side would be more than enough to win. Moves
Nice.
like f4, moves like h4, and
So
the bishops will
Queen
shine.
c6 is not a real threat. What about a b6, bc6?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So this was the other line that we were just talking about. Like you said, I think rook b8 is a great move. King a7, and I think you simply take g7. You have 2 rooks for the queen, you still have the 2 bishops, and a6 is going to be under a lot of pressure now that the b pawn has been removed.
Okay. Yeah, I can live with that.
So very classy stuff from Leinier. Queen takes c6. Not a move on my radar, perhaps not a move on Max's radar, but I think a very, very strong move.
Honestly, I feel like maybe if we had a few more minutes, we could have talked about it.
I mean, I don't think I was ever going to consider this move, but I'll trust you on that. I'm just very impressed.
Whoa.
So knight b6. I was going to mention this move.
Wait,
I
what if
promise.
knight c7?
Knight c7 just wins the game, though, right? Knight c7, you have to take it, otherwise it's checkmate in 1. And now white's up a queen, and the game's over.
Nice. Well, this was easy.
Okay, I mean, this is a bit silly now, right?
I mean, technically,
it's a rook for the queen.
Yeah.
Right, but that's not enough. It's just
Oh,
simply
just
not
bishop
enough.
e2. Bishop e2.
Can't I take your
there
bishop?
Bishop a6.
Can't I take your rook?
Sorry, I forgot about that
Yeah.
part. Sorry.
I forgive you.
Thank you.
So I mean, you can just play bishop c1 then. You're up a queen for the rook. After f5 is the queen
That's what I tell
trapped.
my students. Don't go crazy when your material up. No need to look crazy, mates. Go or
bishop f7.
do.
So giving the bishop back, but in return, white is winning a number of pawns here.
Is he? Because the bishop
Well,
is pinned.
Knight takes d2, I'll play rook b6, and then I can play rook takes e6 instead of bishop takes. I think. This is my feeling.
Okay, I don't think this is what I would have done in the game, but the problem is if you wouldn't have played bishop f7, if you moved your bishop, let's say bishop c1 or e1, there was always this like f5 or f6 and then your
f5,
queen...
I think you have to still respond with bishop f7, right?
I think so, because the
has no
queen,
squares.
yeah.
G4 is a strange move to my eyes. I think I can take that, and then I'm very, very happy if you take it back. Or okay, h4. Perhaps I don't understand everything.
I'd just like to point out that Wesley So is still MIA.
Yeah,
That
this
game
Wesley
is
So
completely
game,
MIA.
still not making any progress. Marcus seems to have connected, but really
nice.
struggling. Why don't we jump to Nikolas Theodorou's game? It looks like he's in some
But this is
severe
such an
time
interesting
pressure.
game.
Yeah, so Kriya
Oh.
right there. And looks like an endgame where unfortunately things are starting to go wrong. This is just checkmate. That's rather unfortunate. Rook f7, unstoppable checkmate for John Spielman, and Nick does go down, which is a shame. I think earlier in this endgame it looked to me to just be a dead draw, but
Me
White
too.
managed to create some chances.
We were looking at somewhere on here, I think. Oh,
So yeah, we saw some pieces get traded, and I thought this would be a fine endgame for Black. He regains his pawn, and in fact regains.
maybe there was some tactical
Yes, some
difficult
tactics.
stuff.
Yeah, this is not an endgame Nick should be losing. But,
I didn't think so too. I mean, White seems to have the better.
He has a square for his knight, which counts for a lot in these endgames.
Yeah.
And knight h1, I think, is the start of.
But where
of
else would
things
you go?
going wrong.
D1?
Maybe I would just play rook b2 and leave the knight there for the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Knight h1 can't be correct.
Yes, and it looks too fancy, honestly.
And then f6 as well. Now our king's pinned. For
Yeah,
the back,
alright,
and
these are-
It's easy to see how this went wrong.
I agree.
Unfortunate game there for us. I do want to say Leinier Dominguez has won this game against Max Birkenbretter. Of course, he played this very nice queen takes c6 move, and at the end of the day, checkmate has appeared.
Where did his rook go?
I think all of his rooks have disappeared. I don't know how that happened.
Hold on.
But,
So this was the
so knight
the
c7.
yeah.
Now white is up a queen for the rook, gives up the bishop. We see this move, rook takes e6, we expected, and now the very nice rook takes e6 with bishop takes d5.
Oh, so
being
this was
checkmate.
the plan all along, to get the bishop to come to be here, to be at f7. So whenever you take on e6, and then you have this rook a6 regardless, because there's the bishop d5.
Yeah, very nice play from Leinier here.
I'm definitely showing that for my...
Yeah, I think this was honestly like an incredible game from
It
Leinier.
was,
That's
yes.
one to keep track of for the record books. Well, there is one more game going on, and Wesley So's game, which has started. Wesley has played moves. And it looks as
Nice.
though we're going to have a lot of time to talk about this game, though. Why don't we focus on Liem Lee, whose game is nearing its end?
I agree.
It looks as though this is going to be a draw.
I mean, honestly, this is a good result for us, because
Yeah,
even
Liem Lee, our board 3,
Yeah.
from their board 1, we're not unhappy with the draw.
I mean,
at all.
even though Nikolas was slightly higher rated than Spielman, Spielman is simply a more experienced player.
Yeah, no, Spielman's been around for forever, and
I'm pretty sure I read some of his books or
yeah, very
taught some of his
established
games.
author, theoretician, and everything.
I might be wrong, but I think one of our teammates, one of the Sloot chess players, Spielman is his
hold
role
on.
model, or
Is Liem Lee pressing for a win now? No, okay, there's queen b2. I didn't see this check. I thought queen c4 was threatened and some dangerous things were happening, but perhaps this is, in fact, just going to be a draw. So I expect this game to end. I mean, do you think anything could happen here to make this game not a draw?
there's always blunders,
Yeah,
but
I suppose so.
logically it should be a draw.
Well, why don't we leave them to work out the details then, and we can focus on the last game of the round, which got a very late start, but we will stick with it. This game between Wesley So and Marcus Harvey.
So I have a question. Even though this game started later, does it mean that the next round of would start after this is done?
I mean, I can't imagine they would start early because, Marcus will have a new opponent, and Wesley would have a new opponent, so that would be just half the games that can't get started until this game finishes. So perhaps after this game, we could take a short break, maybe.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, I think I could use it, even if you if you want to keep going.
Yeah, let's do that right
so
after. But
what's going on in this position?
I do want to look at the opening
traded, yeah.
quickly. I love French. For white. I mean, I certainly understand. I feel like it takes just playing French with both sides takes such a huge understanding.
Yes.
So this is the theoretical. This is all theory. I mean, knight a4, and I'm not sure if queen b4 is. I mean, yeah, it should be. But then you do have to exchange it off, and these endgames simply look slightly more comfortable for white, mainly because of the space, I want to say.
Yeah.
And personal experience.
I'll trust your judgment on that.
Thank
I'm
you,
not
thank
super
you.
experienced in the French positions here, but
I did get. I wasn't very comfortable playing against French Caro-Kann and Pirc up until Perry-Merjan Negi had this bunch of books published.
yeah,
2014.
he's got a whole E4 repertoire. Right?
Yeah, like 2014, 15, I want to say 16, and I started reading those, and surprisingly, in 2014, I was about 2100-ish, and then, fluctuating.
Yeah.
And then by end of 2015, I already had my norms, and I've crossed 2400.
Yeah,
and
incredible.
That was 2016, sorry. But 2015, I was like 23, 60, 70, and those did really help. And wow, we do have a result.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Why, unfortunately?
Wow, no, this is a draw. I thought disaster had struck in this game.
Oh.
Black had lost the pawn, and I thought it was going to be poorly.
I mean, queen
Going
endgames are
together.
still extremely tricky.
Yeah, but generally, in time pressure, I would expect that to very much favor the attacking side rather than.
Yeah.
Some annoying checks, and Black did lose this D pawn, but still managed to hold the game. Very impressive from Liem Lee.
I agree. I'm not entirely sure.
Wow, and it looks
Someone
like Gawain Jones mouse-slipped queen e5 check, which allows the draw for black. I think this was simply a winning position.
It's.
Without this queen e5 check. But
I mean, the pawn seems to be becoming queen.
Yeah, and so here we see queen e5, a very strange move from Gawain Jones, allowing the queen trade and the draw on king and pawn endgame. But he said in the chat actually that this was a mouse slip, and I think we can kind of trust him on that. Actually, right at the bottom, that's his chess.com name. Yeah. And so a lucky break for Liam Lee, getting this half point here.
What did he want to do? Just play.
Well, I think he had picked up the queen, and then he wanted to put it back down to move the king, but unfortunately he put it back down on the wrong square and played queen e5 check. It's part of online chess. We'll take those half points where we can find them. And that leaves this game with Wesley So and Marcus Harvey.
So what's the score now? We have 1.5, 1.5 in the 3 games that we played this round.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, yeah, I think that this is an accurate score up on the screen here, 4.5 to 2.5 in our favor, with this game being the only one remaining in the second round.
Honestly, this feels comfortable for both sides, I want to say, but maybe slightly more comfortable for white. Again,
well, I think black has done quite well. This bishop on a3 is a very annoying piece, preventing this rook from coming to c1, doubling on the c file.
I was thinking maybe white could try to play something like bring the bishop back and try to...
something like king d1 would be natural, with the idea of bishop c1, trying to evict this bishop. But then again, black can play some moves as well. Things like knight b4 would be trading things off quite quickly. Things like b5 might leave your knight without a good square to go to. Definitely a lot to consider here for Wesley So.
I was thinking maybe another idea to consider would be, this knight coming to d3 to just take away so many squares from the bishop. But I was also thinking maybe something like g4.
Some kingside expansion as well.
Yeah, because white's main advantage is the space. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. To my eyes, though, knight b4 seems to solve a lot of problems for black here. After knight b4, you can obviously trade rooks, and then after rook takes c8, you can't really get away with knight d3, can you? Because rook c2 check might come. Although maybe that is simply working. So we do see b5, this other move that I mentioned. And I don't think you really want to go in for knight c5 here. I don't think this is a favorable change in structure.
Specifically since if knight c5, there could be this bishop c5, dc5, d4, or knight c5 and then d4.
Right. This pawn coming to d4, of course, opens up the bishop on d7. Not what you want to see from white. Knight b2, though, is a nice move. Oh, excuse me.
Plus you, I think.
Yes, that was a sneeze. But yeah, the knight coming to b2 is useful because now against knight b4, you have knight bd3.
Yeah, another thing I was thinking about, if like the bishop on e3 and the king on d2 were like switched, the king on e3 is actually pretty safe.
Yeah, as long as you control the c3 square, that's really the only avenue of attack for the king.
Well, even, right now, with the knight on b2, you, as white, you get this rook c1s, depending on what black does, but...
yeah, interesting. So, knight b4 seems like the natural move. I keep saying this over and over again. But in this case, though, I think white can deal with it quite effectively now. If knight b4, we'll take on c8, and then play knight bd3. We're still covering the c2 square.
Here's your knight b4.
Yeah, this is the line I just said, and there's no entrance for the black rook. And I think this is under control for Wesley.
Yeah.
Black had some threats on the queen side, but now I think everything is kind of held together. And I think this gives him the opportunity to start playing these moves like g4, like f5, and expanding on the king's side.
Maybe another move to think about. Yeah, I was thinking, what if black just starts doing a4 stuff? Because right now the c3 square, if bishop takes b4, you kind of have to play king d1, don't you? Because if king d3, there's rook c4, c3.
Yeah, so king d1, and then I'm not sure if if that actually causes too many concrete problems.
Maybe
for
bishop
the,
c3.
Yeah, I'll play rook c1.
c1.
It seems okay.
b4.
Oh, well, I'm going to bring my other knight to d3, and I think your bishop might end up a little bit stuck if you do commit to this b4
Yeah.
move.
There could always be the bishop d2 exchange too coming up.
Notably, after a5, b5 is hanging for the moment, so
True,
black
that's-
will have to do something about this. So yeah, maybe your line is actually correct, though. Bishop
play-
c3, rook c1, b4, and then you have this idea of eventually playing bishop a6 if you can, to get your bishop back into the game. But it's not so easy to achieve.
Agreed.
I'm not sure what else black can really do, though. You can play bishop a6 here, keeping things under control, not committing to b4. We do see, in fact, bishop c3.
My
Okay.
idea. Well, I mean, if rook c1, you kind of, I think you do have to play b4, but then what do you do with the knights? Do you play, like, knight b8?
Yeah, this black knight, maybe it should come to the c6 square via b8, so knight b8 to c6, but no real good home for that knight. I definitely agree. You might think f5 would be a good square, but g4 is going to come for white to always prevent that. So yeah, we do see b4 committed now. I don't think knight d3. Knight d3 is the first move that I said. I don't think it's very good though, because bishop a6 would be possible.
Okay. What about something simple like knight c2 with the idea bishop d2, knight e3, some relocating like that? But honestly, it feels really hard, difficult for either sides to just make progress,
So-
improve the pieces.
My new plan is actually knight f3. I want to play knight f3 and g4 and f5, and I want to say that black really can't touch too many of his pieces. If you want to play bishop a6, you might start with a move like rook a8, but as soon as you vacate the c file, I can play a move like bishop d2 and try and take advantage of the missing rook.
Yeah. Vesta is taking his time thinking what to do here. They have about the same time, but whoa, cool.
Yeah, so we see bishop b5. This knight does relocate to the b8 square. Now maybe knight d3 is his idea. I'm not so sure actually. I don't very much like this bishop b5 move, personally.
I mean, where
So-
else do you want your bishop to be?
Well, I wanted to put it on d3, so I would have some ideas after expanding on the king side. Things like knight g5.
But
could
you
start
can
creating some
always
threats.
do that. Just the bishop on b5 is just maybe creating a little bit of it's like questioning. Do you want to play knight c6? Are you ready for me to take it?
Yeah.
You might.
I was under the impression that black did want to play knight c6 though, but and bishop a6 is also being supported now as well. But I don't. Maybe Wesley has some ideas in mind. But this is my reasoning for not liking this move so much. I think knight b8 is useful for black. And yeah, king f8 for black now. So simply bringing the king towards the center, although he does have to be a little bit wary of leaving this h-pawn too far behind.
Yeah.
We've been saying for a while now, but I do think g4 is the way to continue. I don't know if you agree with this, but
I'm usually a fan of getting more space.
yeah. So this bishop does come to d3. Now that the king has left the h-pawn, black has to make a decision on what to do with it. h6 is possible, g6 is possible, but both of those moves are creating some weaknesses.
Oh my.
f5 is powerful now, and the idea is f6, and this h-pawn might be feeling a little bit lonely on h6.
I mean, after bishop a6, I think you kind of have to take it.
You have to take it? Yeah, okay. Wesley agrees. I thought maybe bishop b1 was playable, but
There was.
yeah, bishop f1 maybe is
Yeah,
causing
it's
problems.
the bishop. I mean, if you wanted to keep the d3 bishop, then you would have to like give a lot of chances to opponents. So
Right.
that's not really ideal.
Yeah, this one prevents counterplay, keeps black on the back foot, and now moves like f6 are going to start to become dangerous. I don't know if it works immediately. Immediately, black might simply capture this pawn, but in the long term, I think this is going to be
Wow,
very, very nice.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, a4 taking advantage of the temporary placement on c7
Yeah.
for black's knight.
It works, right? You can't just take it because rook c3 and the pawn is not advanced enough.
I tend to agree. Also notably, if the black knight ever moves, rook takes c8 is with check. Wow, h5. So black is trying to solve his problems immediately.
h3?
Yeah, h3, but the more pawns that get traded over there on the king's side, I think the better it is for black.
Yeah, but see, if he plays something like h3 and then hg, you could always try and do king e2, rook h1.
Yeah,
Eh.
yeah, I definitely see that. But instead we see takes e6. And I think this was the point of black putting the knight on c7, was that he was prepared to meet takes e6 with knight takes e6.
Knight e6, I guess.
Yeah, this isn't
And then
looking
king
like
e2?
I don't know. I somehow am starting to doubt this endgame, because as soon as we commit the rook to the g file, play something like rook g1,
There
you
could
might,
always be
you might see
bishop
bishop
b2,
b2,
yeah.
and then rook c3 is going to be a bit of a threat.
Well, maybe you can try and play king d3 first, and then rook goes. So if you move the bishop, there's always bishop d2s.
Ah, interesting. So king d3 here. That's a nice idea.
But but then the king would reach in time.
Well, now king d3 perhaps, and there's a rook f4 threat. Or simply rook f4 first. Yeah, rook f4 defending the d pawn
Yeah.
and attacking g pawn. If you do play king h5, perhaps you run into rook f7, and after king g6, rook e7 rather, or rook a7 could be picking up some
Yeah,
key
this
pawns.
rook is getting too active.
All right,
Should be good.
I am convinced. I think
Good.
Wesley has this game under control. This one looking very, very nice for white. Endgame's all about activity, and Wesley managed to find the activity here. Temporarily, technically down a pawn, but the extra pawn for black is not so useful. And so we do see rook takes g4 check,
Wow.
regaining the pawn.
So king h5, I guess. I mean, if king h5, rook g7, there's rook c3. Getting a little.
Yeah, there's also rook g5 check though to worry about,
Oh, yeah,
right? I'm
sorry.
not sure we can get away with that. So I think bishop d2 would make some sense here, keeping the rook out of c3, defending that b3 pawn for as long as possible.
Now bishop c3.
Yeah, bishop c3. Maybe we can allow.
Maybe just bishop e3 back.
Well, then we're repeating though. Marcus is holding on here.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Bishop
this-
c1 even, trying to keep trying to force the bishops off the board.
Uh-huh.
I think white needs the dark squared bishops to win this game. But that being said, I'm not sure there's a comfortable
yeah,
way to
how
keep
can you
them on the
keep it?
board.
Just
Well, I
keep
mean,
bishop e1.
bishop e1 is playable. If rook c2, king d1 is a fork somehow, and the rook would have to just simply retreat. But definitely not as clear as I was saying moments ago.
I think bishop e1. They could keep it. How are we doing in the chat? Anyone interesting questions, ideas?
Some talk about Wesley So playing in both Tata Steel in this event. Of course, Wesley, a real trooper, played in an airport in round 1, and I think playing from Tata Steel today. We appreciate him making the effort here for the St. Louis Archbishops. He really improves our team quite a bit, I think.
If he wouldn't play, then who was our board? I guess Nikolas would be playing regardless, but
Yes, because Fabi is out for this round. I'm not sure
King
who we would choose from the roster had Wesley decided not to play. I think there are some rumors that Julian Perleco might have played, but he's pretty far down on the roster. Maybe we would have tried to find somebody, some other grandmaster to play. Notably in this game, though, we do see the bishops come off the board, and now after rook c3, rook g3, and perhaps Wesley was calculating this king and pawn endgame, but looks to be a draw if rook takes g3, in my opinion.
yeah. Also,
Yeah, this king comes to g6, but no real entry for either king here. I expect king f5, king f3, and then maybe simply just g5, g4, and the paths are completely blocked.
Yeah,
And
so
Marcus
this should
would
be,
score a second half point against our top two boards.
Nice.
An incredible score for the UK Lions, actually. although we are still ahead in the match, definitely a strong showing in these first 2 rounds.
I agree. This is quite an interesting game.
So yeah, Marcus is still considering though his various moves here. We do see King F5.
King F3, obviously.
Yeah, King F3, the only reasonable move. And then perhaps Marcus is considering trying, King G5. And the point is if G4, there's King H4. And if King F4, there's G5 check. And Black would be winning a pawn. But I think simply King F2 for White is keeping the draw.
King F2, King G4, King G2, and just moving between F2 and G2. Yeah, I think that should do it. Alright, let's say King F2. King G4.
So
King G2, G6.
yeah, so I do want to mention actually.
Sure.
So if G4, King H4, King F4, G5 check. If White could play King F5, then White would actually be winning.
Sure.
It's the classic, I think, trebuchet position in King Pawn games.
Yeah.
But if King F2, King G4, King G2, and then G5, we have a very, very similar looking endgame. But now after King H3, so if G5 there, King F2, King H3, King F3, it would be the same thing, but King F4 would be legal. So instead we see this.
Ouch.
And is Wesley losing? Oh no.
I don't want to say it, but...
A very, very accurate play. Yeah, Wesley resigns. And that's a full point for Marcus Harvey. He scored 1.5 against Wesley So and Leinier Dominguez. That's crazy. Who is this person? Well, yeah, very, very impressive technique there from Black.
Yeah, but, I mean, honestly, the pawn in the game looked a little suspicious to enter.
Yeah.
But at this point, he didn't really have a choice, so maybe this was the point.
Yeah, King D1. I'm not sure why Bishop E1 wasn't played. I think that looked like the more natural way to keep the game alive.
I agree, because, I mean...
I guess Bishop H6 would have been slightly awkward to deal with in response to Bishop E1. The idea being Rook C2 is coming, and Rook C1 is coming if you play King D1 to prevent it.
Yeah. Can you just play...
Yeah, maybe Rook F4 check even would be drawing a bit more easily. I don't know. It's a tough position actually for Wesley, tougher than we were giving it credit for. So a very well played game by Marcus
Yeah, I
Harvey.
agree. There were a lot of great moments, but I really thought here White had it under control. Maybe this was ambitious. Just play H3 and see how it goes.
Yeah, maybe just sticking with H3. But is there a plan of improvement for Black here that we were
That's
missing?
the thing.
That Wesley was worried about?
Black has more tricks up his sleeve rather than White's, because White's pretty much only a hope is to get the rook and the king side and attack the pawns from there. Yeah. But it doesn't feel so realistic because the b3 pawn is completely, wiggly.
Yeah, b3 is very, very weak. It's undefended, and rook c3 is always going to be a threat unless we dedicate, our bishop to preventing it. And then we have other problems that we need to solve with this bishop. And
so I guess maybe the most solid way to go was h3 instead of taking on.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. So that being said, Marcus Harvey does upset Wesley So in a crazy turn of events. That brings the match score to 4.5 to 3.5. Once again, 8.5 points is the magic number we're hoping to reach. But I think we are going to take a short break, and we will rejoin you for round 3 of the Pro Chess League.
When you visit St. Louis, you'll probably want to watch the Cardinals or the Blues. What about after the game? Heading back to the hotel would be a major error. Instead, boogie through the city and discover the music that gave the blues their name. At the National Blues Museum, Broadway Oyster Bar, or even the legendary Blueberry Hill. So whether you love the Cardinals, the Blues, or the Blues, come play with us. Hey, you guys know I can't play this, right? St. Lou is always exploring.
Be surprised. Be intrigued. Be delighted. The World Chess Hall of Fame in St. Louis is nothing you'd expect and everything you love. 3 galleries highlight the history, culture, and creativity behind the game. Explore chess in ways you never imagined. It's a one-of-a-kind cultural institution where rare artifacts and world-class art play together. The World Chess Hall of Fame. Mind, art, experience.
Is that you, Mr. Matheny?
Can we get your autograph?
Yeah, of course.
I think it's pretty cool that you love chess so much. We love chess too.
I joined my school's chess program and got to meet a real-life grandmaster.
I got a trophy this big.
One time, I played a police captain after school and checkmated him in 27 moves.
Wow, I should be asking for your autographs. Check out all chess has to offer at stlouischessclub.org.
Ładowięcia to wysiłki, bad faces versus good faces, and several technical moments.
Welcome to the chess capital of the United States. The St. Louis Chess Campus, in the heart of the vibrant Central West End, has established itself as a premier global destination for chess and is comprised of 2 unique nonprofit institutions. The Chess Club and Scholastic Center of St. Louis is recognized as the top chess facility in the world and plays host to all major tournaments, including the U.S. Chess Championships and the Sinkfield Cup, one of the strongest chess tournaments globally. Tournaments are broadcast online to more than 150 countries, led by an expert commentary team of grandmasters. The Chess Club is an educational organization committed to promoting the game of chess, with a specific focus on bringing the benefits of chess to children throughout the St. Louis area. Research shows children who play chess exhibit improved analytical skills and increased confidence. The Chess Club is highly engaged with the local community, bringing scholastic chess programs to more than 100 schools, providing hundreds of classes each week. Directly across the street from the Chess Club is the World Chess Hall of Fame. This one-of-a-kind cultural institution invites visitors to experience chess in imaginative ways and is home to the U.S. and World Chess Halls of Fame. Cutting-edge exhibitions feature rare, historic chess artifacts paired with world-class art. Innovative programming explores the intersection of chess, art, and culture. Visitors can enjoy interactive programs designed around the exhibitions and monthly music in the galleries. The World Chess Hall of Fame is nothing you expect and everything you love. 3 different galleries and a premier gift shop highlight the culture, history, and creativity behind the game. Come visit, play chess, leave enriched. To learn more about the St. Louis Chess Campus, visit stlchesscampus.org.
You may have heard about St. Louis's world-class museums. Art, history, science, even magic. But you may not know we have an entire museum dedicated to play, with a 10-story slide and a Ferris wheel on top. Don't let all this family fun slide by you. Whose kids it is? St. Lou is always exploring. Anybody?
No matter your age or skill level, chess is a great game to learn and play. The St. Louis Chess Club offers affordable memberships for families, students, and individuals. There's so much going on at the club with lectures, classes, ladies' nights, and tournaments. In addition, there's always a grandmaster in residence to help teach, learn, and play. Come join us at the St. Louis Chess Club and see what chess has to offer.
When you visit St. Louis, you'll probably want to watch the Cardinals or the Blues. What about after the game? Heading back to the hotel would be a major error. Instead, boogie through the city and discover the music that gave the blues their name at the National Blues Museum, Broadway Oyster Bar, or even the legendary Blueberry Hill. So whether you love the Cardinals, the Blues, or the blues, come play with us. Hey, you guys know I can't play this, right? St. Lou is always exploring.
Be surprised. Be intrigued. Be delighted. The World Chess Hall of Fame in St. Louis is nothing you'd expect and everything you love. 3 galleries highlight the history, culture, and creativity behind the game. Explore chess in ways you never imagined. It's a one-of-a-kind cultural institution where rare artifacts and world-class art play together. The World Chess Hall of Fame. Mind, art, experience.
Is that you, Mr. Matheny?
Can we get your autograph?
Yeah, of course.
I think it's pretty cool that you love chess so much. We love chess too.
I joined my school's chess program and got to meet a real-life grandmaster.
I got a trophy this big.
One time, I played a police captain after school and checkmated him in 27 moves.
Wow, I should be asking for your autographs. Check out all chess has to offer at stlouischessclub.org.
Pictures of each piece, and the classic style, what the theater division is, bad faces versus good faces.
Welcome to the chess capital of the United States. The St. Louis Chess Campus in the heart of the vibrant Central West End has established itself as a premier global destination for chess and is comprised of 2 unique nonprofit institutions. The Chess Club and Scholastic Center of St. Louis is recognized as the top chess facility in the world and plays host to all major tournaments, including the U.S. Chess Championships and the Sinkfield Cup, one of the strongest chess tournaments globally. Tournaments are broadcast online to more than 150 countries, led by an expert commentary team of grandmasters. The Chess Club is an educational organization committed to promoting the game of chess, with a specific focus on bringing the benefits of chess to children throughout the St. Louis area. Research shows children who play chess exhibit improved analytical skills and increased confidence. The Chess Club is highly engaged with the local community, bringing scholastic chess programs to more than 100 schools, providing hundreds of classes each week. Directly across the street from the Chess Club is the World Chess Hall of Fame. This one-of-a-kind cultural institution invites visitors to experience chess in imaginative ways and is home to the U.S. and World Chess Halls of Fame. Cutting-edge exhibitions feature rare, historic chess artifacts paired with world-class art. Innovative programming explores the intersection of chess, art, and culture. Visitors can enjoy interactive programs designed around the exhibitions and monthly music in the galleries. The World Chess Hall of Fame is nothing you expect and everything you love. 3 different galleries and a premier gift shop highlight the culture, history, and creativity behind the game. Come visit, play chess, leave enriched. To learn more about the St. Louis Chess Campus, visit stlchesscampus.org.
Hello, and welcome back to Round 3 coverage of the Pro Chess League. As always, my name is Caleb Denby, and I'm joined by Dorsa Derakhshani, and I don't want to waste too much time here because the round is underway. So why don't we just jump right in and see what kind of pairings... Well, yeah, let's check out the pairings first and see what we have going on here. Of course... Yeah, John Spielman playing Leinier Dominguez. That is our board 1 against their board 2. Gulwayne Jones, the UK board 1, is against Wesley So, who is somehow our board 2, despite being Wesley So. Liem Lee, our board 3, has his chance against Marcus Harvey, who has been performing phenomenally so far, with 1.5 points against our top 2 boards. And lastly, Nikolas Theodorou is up against Max Birkenbreiter. That is our board 4 against their board 3. So why don't we see how the games are progressing so far?
So let's just take a quick look at Leinier's game. So from what I was looking at, there was this bishop h2. This was quite interesting actually. We were looking at it, and the bishop, this sacrifice on h2. Look here.
Yeah, so knight g4, and the point of the sacrifice is that the knight on e4 is actually hanging at the end of the line.
Yeah, and so knight e4, maybe knight e4 wasn't the most accurate. Maybe there could be some h3 or something that would have been slightly more accurate. So after knight e4, you take on h2, and then this knight is hanging. So
yeah, so queen h4, and you end up picking up this knight on e4. So black is a pawn to the good, but white does still have the bishop pair and a little bit more central control here.
It feels like it was like this little tactics that could end up being the determining factor in these situations.
Exactly.
So yeah, I feel like I'm kind of hopeful for this game. I just don't understand why white has so much more time, almost double.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. White, perhaps adopting the strategy. I think this is something you see from strong players a lot. When their position starts to get bad, they actually start playing faster and more confidently. It helps a lot to at least have some edge on the clock, even if the board isn't going your way.
Yeah. Let's take a quick look at Wesley So's game, who...
Wow, it looks like this game is already in an endgame, which I think seems to be in Wesley So's favor here. His rook is a bit more active.
This was an Italian opening, and the famous... these are so fun to play.
Yes.
But like, everybody knows everything about these theories, so...
And so they very quickly reached this queenless middle game, I suppose you could call it. And after some more trades, we very much are in an endgame,
Yeah. I mean, if I had to guess, both players wanted to play a simple game after last round.
Yeah, some tough games last round, and so now we do reach a full rook endgame after bishop takes f5.
Yes, precisely. This f5 pawn could both be a weakness and a strength, so I'm not entirely sure how this game will progress, but so far, I mean, black's trying to put more pressure and white's trying to create more chances and to try and push the pawn.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm going for a draw. Oh, maybe already some...
Yeah, some repetitions occurring. But no, now rook b2, Gawain Jones wants to play for a win. Which is understandable given the match situation. They're down a point, and they need to start scoring if they're going to come back in this match.
Let's take a look at Nikolas's game. He is playing I am Max.
Birkenbretter, maybe? Birkenbretter.
He is German. I'm surprised. Anyways, I mean his flag in here.
on the chess.com flag. And this is actually looking...
like a Nikolas type of situation?
Like a Nikolas type of game, where Nikolas is attacking. Always attacking. Is queen's... Yeah, so king e2, rather than queenside castles. I'm not sure if queenside castles was legal, the type of position where it might not be. We've had this discussion before, I suppose. But now there's actually a rook h1 threat, which would win the black queen. And unless black does something about it right now, that might be the end of the game. Yeah, rook h1, how do you stop it? I don't see.
Okay, let's take another look just a little earlier to see if this was actually a trap. I mean, maybe 5 moves earlier.
Yes.
Okay, so
queen h3 seems to have been a black solution. Now, bishop takes f7.
Wait.
And if you were to capture this piece, queen g6, bishop h6.
Yeah.
And I think checkmate is
so you gotta move the king.
And
you save the pawn.
And this is some domination. I think this is very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate for...
this is bishop g5. I love it. Simply because, I mean, it's such a simple move. You could try and keep the bishop here with like bishop f4, but just logically thinking about it, this is a very strong piece for black that's holding the position together.
Yeah, and it's also the only piece allowing... It takes away the last square from
exactly. So bishop g5, now the queen feels already being suffocated. King e2, perfect. Well, the problem is, I think long castle is legal.
Okay, but yeah, king e2 defends the f pawn.
Yeah, exactly. Huh.
So rook f8, rook h1, and we do see the queen being picked up for white, and this should be enough to win.
Oh, good. After the things we saw last round.
And yeah, so can you play rook g7? I guess you can't. Can't play rook g7. I don't know why I wanted to.
We're going for blood, I see.
Yeah, it's just a bit silly. Rook takes h6 would be the move, picking up.
Yeah, the only thing is, if rook g6, there could be this knight f8, and then you maybe you could do rook g7.
And there's a check involved.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
So rook g6 we do see.
Thank you, Nikolas.
And I have full confidence that Nick will be able to pick up the full point here.
Cool. Let's look at Liem.
Yeah, against
our mystery man.
The ringer, Marcus Harvey, who cannot seem to be defeated in this match so far. Although this position, I'm not sure what's going on here. It looks like another complicated one.
It does.
Yes, the
I
c-pawn for white is a weakness, but the b6 pawn is going to be weak for black. And for the moment, white is a pawn to the good.
Well, how would you keep it? That's probably the main question.
Yeah, we might see some pawn exchanges after something like rook a6. But I think white would much rather keep this pawn on c4. So maybe we'll just see a rook a4 move, taking the time to defend the pawn, and then only then looking to progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, always in these endgames, when you're the defending side, you want to trade as many pawns as possible, and as the attacking side, you want to keep pawns on the board. The more pawns on the board, the more chances you really have. But now we see Marcus looking to be insistent about picking up this c pawn rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, knight c7 is an interesting
I was thinking, what if rook c7? Then there's rook a8 probably?
Yeah, definitely want to limit activity at all costs. And I think knight c7 is the best way to go about it.
Alright.
Now you start to run into some very, very serious threats on the king side. If knight takes e6 is allowed, there's some g7 pawn being attacked, and if the f5 knight ever gets kicked away, then you'll be in serious trouble. So what if knight d2
That's
here?
what I was thinking.
Yeah,
and
knight d2 threatens knight e6, threatens e4.
Yeah.
And it's starting to look very, very dangerous for black.
Maybe this could be the...
Yeah, this could be the game. Perhaps Liam Lee is the one to take down the one and only Marcus Harvey, a name to remember now, I suppose.
He's had a very powerful tournament so far. Well,
match.
Two rounds so far.
2 rounds in
I'm
this
used
match
to saying
going
tournaments,
very well.
but it doesn't feel like a full tournament.
No, I think it's just a match.
What?
Is the way to phrase it.
What am I missing?
So
what was I missing?
Knight takes c4 seems totally fine for black. I'm a bit confused.
Why can't they just play knight d2?
I do want to say, though, we can come back to this game. We do have a result. Leinier Dominguez has defeated John Spielman in this endgame. As well as another result, Wesley So has drawn this game as expected against Gawain Jones. So that brings our score up to a full 6 against 6-4 so far in this match. And that leaves us with just 2.5 points to go.
Yeah, that's a last round game.
Yeah. So here we have Dominguez winning that end game.
Now we have 6 against 4. We only need 2.5 more, and we have 6 games to go.
Exactly.
Seems promising. Whoa. This feels like there should be some sort of checks
E3,
here.
knight takes c4 was not played. I wonder what the players saw that we're missing here.
Knight e6?
Perhaps maybe e4 followed by knight e6, creating the threat against g7.
Yeah.
Or knight e6 followed by e4.
Yeah, I'm not I don't think there was much of a difference. But I still don't understand why you had to play this e3. Why couldn't you just play knight d2 before and then wow.
Well, knight d2 does come now, and now I think knight e6, and this is starting to crumble for black.
Mm-hmm.
Knight e6. I guess his idea is to counter that with knight takes c4, but it looks a little suspect. Perhaps we should start with the move e4, and then knight takes e6 creates the threat of rook takes g7.
But if e4, knight d4, then e5?
Yeah. Okay, but Liam Lee keeps the tension in true professional style. I think he's just planning to bring this king to d3, and then there's no question about whether or not the white pawn on c4 will be defended. The king will do it adequately.
Nice. I like that.
I like
think he has it under control.
So yeah, why don't we check back in on Nikolas Theodorou?
Oh
still up a queen, still winning the game. I think the deciding factor now is going to be
this little guy?
this A pawn. It's very, very difficult for the rook and the knight to work together to stop A4, A5, A6, A7, A8. In fact, we do say A4 immediately. There's a knight C3 check, trying to pick up the pawn, but then Queen A8 check would win.
Exactly. So in this situation, he took on knight F2 was played, then A4, A5, knight G4 check, move the king. Knight E5 check?
Yeah, King G3 wins the tempo, and now A6, A7, and A8 will be ending this game in Nikolas's favor.
Yay.
I think it's fair to call this game off, I think. This is
Seems
no longer in
logical,
doubt.
but I've seen Stranger Things.
Yeah, I think I'd rather stick with Liam Lee's game, though. I think this one
Yeah.
still has some chess left to be played. And
all right. Why?
yeah, we have a couple more moves being played.
So after E3, King came out.
So we last saw
White's
King E2,
Yeah.
and now King H6, King D3 as we expected, and now E5 for black is his attempt at holding everything together. Liam Lee simply captures. Now Knight D5.
Interesting. You can't play King C3. There's Knight B5.
Yeah, there's all these little tricks that that Marcus keeps finding that makes
Yeah.
things just a little bit difficult to convert. But E4, so knight takes E4, and then black simply responds with knight takes C4 instead. Now that the knight has been drawn away.
Rook C7.
Okay, there's a check, King E2, and as things are becoming a bit simplified, it's starting to become clear this E pawn is going to be powerful in any endgame we get into here with just the knights. So black is trying to keep the rook on the board, keep some counterplay chances alive, but I think we're about to see this E pawn get rolling, and that's when it will really show. So yeah, here I'm expecting E4 and F4 to come very, very quickly, and that's when I think you'll be able to see the power of the pawns.
Yeah. Rook B6. Rook B6.
Yeah, it seems to pin.
Or
Okay.
E7,
This
I guess.
move makes two threats.
Nice.
Knight C4 does defend well enough, but yeah, now E4, as I said, expect to see E5 and F4, and once this E pawn's presence is felt, that's when the game will be nearing its end.
So black wants to play B4 now, right?
Right. I think we have time to play E5 though.
Yeah, E5, B4, knight B4, rook C3, then you just take on D6 or this. Now, knight D4 might be coming up.
Notably, Liam Lee is very, very short on time, with just 6 seconds left. I hadn't even been looking at the clock.
Oh,
and
yeah.
now we see him actually pick up the E pawn, and once again, Marcus is maneuvering his way into creating some chances here.
Yeah, if he's not a super grandmaster in near future, I don't think I know much of chess.
Yeah, I mean, of course, anything
do have a
can happen
result.
in rapid chess, but yeah, it looks as though Nick did manage to convert this game as we expected.
Yay.
Queens are powerful, rooks and knights also powerful, just not quite as much.
Exactly.
So King E3 here hits the knight, and after King F4, is this a fork? No, there's Knight D6 hitting the rook, gaining a tempo. After Knight G6.
All these knights is giving me a headache.
Yeah.
Repetition?
And we see some repetition. Now King G3 for Liam Lee tries to keep the game alive. There's a check, and is he losing a piece? Oh my goodness. This is not good. Yeah, resigns. Marcus picking up a full point. That brings his score to 2.5 out of 3 against Leinier Dominguez, Wesley So, and Liam Lee, which is
well, the good news is
the crazy
that we only need a point and a half.
Yeah.
While they need, if they want to win the match, they need to score 3.5.
Yeah, definitely the story of the match for the UK Lions is this board 4 putting up some phenomenal numbers. Definitely an unexpected performance from Marcus Harvey. That being said, though, we have such a solid team that we're picking up enough points on those top 3 boards to more than make up for it. And with just a 1.5 needed in the final round, I expect that we'll be able to get there.
I was kind of hoping for more like a 10 or 12.
Yeah, it's not the blowout victory that we were hoping for.
Yeah.
But I think really, of course, the standings in the Pro Chess League are determined by your total match score, but when you win a match, you get 10 extra points. So as long as we're consistently winning each week, I think we'll be able to come home with a very nice seeding in the playoffs, which of course is what we're aiming to make and of course do well in.
Yeah. Well, now Nikolas is playing this Mystery Marcus. So, yeah, that will be interesting. Nikolas is definitely a very
yeah, and of course
aggressive style. Well, I don't want to call it aggressive, but very dynamic, tacticy. Yeah, aggressive.
He likes to attack,
Yeah.
definitely. And while we were talking about their board for it, Nikolas has actually done pretty well for us as well, scoring 1.5 out of 3 against the top 3 boards for
Nice, yeah.
the UK Lions. So a good result for Nick on board 4. Of course, you know, in week 1 we had Liem on board 4, which is just obscene. But Nikolas definitely holding his own, proving that he is a very valuable member of this St. Louis Archbishops team. Here we do see the results for round 3. Leinier Dominguez taking out John Spielman on board 1. Wesley So drawing Gawain Jones on board 2. Liam Lee drawing... actually, I think Marcus did defeat Liam Lee in this last game here.
Yeah.
And then Nikolas Theodorou defeating Max Birkenbreiter on board 4. And so going into this last round, why don't we check out what the pairings are going to be there. I think this is the one. You know, the players start totally mismatched with board 1s playing board 4s, but
Yeah.
now we have the perfect matchup with everybody playing their counterpart on the other team. So board 3 for us is Liam Lee playing Max Birkenbreiter with black. Board 4 is going to be Marcus Harvey against Nikolas Theodorou for both teams. Board 1 for both teams, Leinier Dominguez against Gawain Jones. And board 2 for both teams, Wesley So against John Spielman. This is the final round, which will decide it all. We need 1.5 points to win, 1 point to tie. Out of 4 remaining games, I think we can do it. But
Even if
definitely...
the Mystery Max, Marcus, sorry, he continues to be, his streak.
Yeah, of course, you know, Marcus seemingly on a very, very hot streak, but even if he were to defeat Nick in this final round, I think we're still very much favored to get to 1.5.
Yeah.
We just need to score 50% on those other 3 boards, and we will be walking away with a match victory.
So a little of a cultural and chess talk. We have a saying in Farsi that when you say something that you don't want it to happen,
Yeah.
the literal translation is like bite your tongue.
Ah, well, you
It's
know,
so-
there's this commentator's curse, we'll
Thank
say,
you,
where you say, well, yeah, I mean, Nikolas has this in hand, he's up a queen, and then all of a sudden something goes wrong. But you know, I mean,
No, yeah,
at some point you have to trust the players.
That's true. No, I was thinking, it came to my mind, well, the Persian phrase came to my mind when we were talking about this, the Mystery Marcus, I'm going to keep calling him that, him being like a, on streak and something.
On a streak, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that came to my mind telling myself was like, bite your tongue, don't say stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's you know, the jinxing of our chances. But
yeah, I feel like
I
that's
I really do think
it's the US version of say jinx.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we have good chances here. So we are just waiting for this final round to get underway. Just 1.5 points to win this match with 8.5 out of 16. And
I believe our round 1 was a very good start.
yeah, round 1 I believe we started off 3-1, and so that definitely gave us the edge going into the remainder of this match.
Yeah.
Here.
I mean, we don't have to shoot for 16 out of 16.
Yeah, like I said, I think the approach to this this format that we need to take is just walk home with 8.5. As if you can do that consistently, week after week, you're going to be doing well in the division standings.
Yes.
Okay.
I still don't see.
Just waiting for the games to get underway. So why don't we take another look at that Nick game in this previous round here? Because that one looked very, very interesting. How did he get such a nice position where that bishop takes f7?
Are you talking about
is
the?
allowable? Yeah,
early on?
let's check out the opening,
Sure.
because that's something we didn't get a chance to look at, I think.
Oh, that is true.
So it's d4, knight f6, and a6
what?
and c5. Wow, interesting. Not the most common move from Max with the black pieces.
I mean, thank you. Please do it again. But
So c5 was the points, and now I suppose a b5 move.
what is going on with all this Benoni stuff?
Yeah, the UK lines have seemingly been pretty consistent across the board with their openings,
Yeah.
actually. A lot of Karo Khans, a lot of Benoni, Benko type positions.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see. So a little remaneuvering of the knight here for Nikolas. And then with the central advantage, I guess that's how we came to find the position that we had on the board.
Agreed. Whoa,
Yeah, and
cool.
h4, using this knight on g3 for support, threatening an early h5, putting pressure already on the black king side. Bishop g4, bishop e2.
Normal.
Uh,
Not what I call normal, but
Yeah, I like this move quite a bit from Nikolas.
Yeah.
This knight on g3 is actually a very, very important piece for white. It controls h5 and f5. And by capturing on f3 with the g-pawn, you now have an extra pawn lever, so you can play f4, f5 very, very freely and start to open up lines.
true. Now the opponent tried to kind of like lock it off, but then you got this f5. And then you took on h5, and that's how the bishop came to keep an eye on f7.
Yeah, and then we're approaching the position that we saw in the game, right? Where this queen jumps out to h3, perhaps a little bit, prematurely, a little bit isolated there on h3, and then Nick took advantage and managed to win.
Yeah, it was a very nice game, honestly. Bishop
Bishop
f7 was pretty cool.
And we see this h5 move, and the rest is history.
I mean, the opponent spent like a minute and a half thinking about queen h3. Did he simply like...
Yeah, I guess it's an
miss it,
understandable tactic
or-
to miss.
Or
The
did
other
he
thing
actually
is,
didn't have anything?
yeah, perhaps he missed queen takes e4 in the first place. Of course, the bishop on h5 is uncapturable after queen e4 due to rook g8. So I think queen h3 was trying to make a threat, but in the end, bishop f7, a very nice move for Nick to win the game.
Yeah, so after queen h3, take, well, not take. Then you play h5 and you're just bringing your pieces and you're doing the snake technique to the queen.
Yes, king e2, picking up
Take down
the
by
queen,
queen.
forever trapped on the h2 square. There is a question in the chat. Demosthenes asks, I don't know how to say his name. He asks, how can it be that one side is averaging 140 points higher rated than the other side? Seems a bit one-sided. Aren't there any rules over the strengths of the team? So there actually used to be.
Yeah.
Historically, the Pro Chess League has always had a rating cap for your team. You had to average out the 4 players that you played to a certain rating. I don't remember what.
I think it was 2550.
Yeah, 2500 or 2550, I think. And then, so you couldn't go over that average rating. But then, we found some ringers on board 4 who were a bit underrated, FIDE, around like 2000, I think. And so we played Fabiano and Wesley on boards 1 and 2, and then we kind of lowered our average rating using that board 4. And so this year they decided to mix up the format a bit. They did away with all those rules, play the best players that you can, and see who can have the better team.
It feels like Hunger Games to me.
Yes. Are they all local players then? They are not actually all locals. You can
Liem is free agent, right?
So yeah, you can have a couple free agents on your team each week. Either 1 or 2 free agents you can play, and they can be from anywhere in the world. But the rest of our team actually is local, with Fabiano Caruana being a local player, Wesley So being a local player, Leinier Dominguez being a local player.
Question.
Yes.
So Benjamin, Nikolas, and JJ, they all go to SLU, and they're all residents of this state.
Yeah, so that's actually a little bit unfortunate for us. Of course, the SLU team members, a lot of them came to SLU from foreign countries, and their FIDE Federation still is representing those countries. And that's how Chess.com decided to determine whether they were local or free agent by that federation. So unfortunately, even though Nicholas and like Benjamin Bach and these people are all living in St. Louis, their federation still is that other country. So that's how they're being represented
Maybe
here.
that's something they can adjust for next.
Yes, maybe. Maybe everybody will switch to the U.S., move to St. Louis forever. That's how we would prefer it here. But for the moment, we are still using them as free agents.
I'm not sure what is the holdup.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe some more technical difficulties, but hopefully this last round will get underway without too much more delay here. I don't know, were there any other interesting games? How about we take a look at this Leinier Dominguez game against John Spielman. This was this previous round, I think. So we saw Leinier with a pretty comfortable position out of the opening, but I don't think we saw how he managed to turn it into something
Yeah, we
more.
were somewhere around here.
Yeah, this tactic with taking H2.
Well, they already started.
Right.
Never mind.
Saved by the round starts.
Yeah.
Once again, in this final round, our board 1 plays their board 1, our board 2 plays their board 2. It's the most even matchup you can hope for final rounds, and may the better team win.
What's they say in Hunger Games? May the odds be
ever in your favor.
Something like that. Yeah.
If my memory serves. It's been a while since I read those books.
Yeah.
I think I was in middle school or something. But here we have a Marazzi bind for Leinier Dominguez, a very comfortable opening for white. An interesting choice by Gawain Jones to go in for something like this.
I'm such a big fan of this this pawn structure and just Maruxi.
Something like that. Nobody knows for sure how to say that word. I've committed to Marazzi. I'm just gonna keep saying it.
I'm gonna go with Maruxi, which kind of drives my roommates crazy.
Well, you know. Who's your roommate, by the way?
Stavrula.
Stavrula,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, Stavrula, another very strong player from SLU.
Yeah.
I don't think she's on our roster this year, but
I don't think so. She's a freshman. I wasn't when I was a freshman. It takes a while to.
Yes, got to build those connections. But yeah, I think a comfortable opening choice for Leinier.
Yeah, this is.
Why don't we take a quick look around all the boards actually and see what kind of openings we have going? Okay, yeah.
What is your prediction? I would say bet, but since we're not really betting. What is your prediction for these 4 games?
I like Dominguez's chances against Gawain Jones. I think Dominguez has been playing pretty well this match. He had that unfortunate draw in round 1 against Marcus, but since then I think he's played very, very well. I don't know if he's won every game, but I think he has won at least. Well, let me actually check.
Sure.
I thought he won the other 2 games, but
That's what I remember too.
In fact, he has. So since that round 1 draw, he has won his last 2 rounds. Expect him to continue that tradition here in the last round. Wesley So, I think, is good for at least a half point, but I'm hoping for 2 wins on the top 2 boards, and we can go home, say, yeah, we've won the match.
Mike
easy
can bring
peasy.
out the champagne.
Yes. Liam Lee, I mean, how can you not pick Liam Lee over Max? Max Berchtenbreiter. While I'm sure Max is a very, very strong player, Liam Lee is Liam Lee. A 2700 level player.
Was the crazy tactics with like knight d5 and knight f5, those stuff that was happening, was it between Max and So Wesley?
That was Wesley with black, and I think that was in fact Max with white.
Right.
So Max has been playing some very, very ambitious chess against these strong players, but it hasn't worked out for him so far, I think. And then this last round is anybody's guess. I always like Nikolas Theodorou's chances, but Marcus Harvey has been having the performance of the match. Scoring 2.5 points out of 3 against our top 3 boards. So let's see if Nick is the one to take him down.
He's a teammate. He's the countryman of my roommate.
Yes.
Yeah, I
of
can't
course,
help
Nick
but
coming
root.
from Greece, right?
Yeah. They have 2 Greek on our teams. Nice.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Greece, I wouldn't say known for their chess players, but we seem to be stealing all the best of the best.
Yeah, I wanted Savrula here when I remember when I was going to airports 2017. I was in Barcelona and I was going to airport to move here.
You're right.
I started texting Savrula and I was like, yeah, you should think of us coming here. Yeah, that was interesting. And here we are 2 years later.
She's at SLU now, and maybe we'll see her in the Archbishops in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nicholas playing in classic Nick style, going for a kingside attack. Throwing caution to the winds. Let's go kill the king. Rook h6, rook g6. We'll come launch an attack on the king's side. I like this style of play against Marcus. Previously, we've seen our 2700s get kind of a slightly better position, maybe go up a pawn. Nicholas, none of that. Let's kill the king and the game.
You see, the thing is, unfortunately, last round Liam Lee actually blundered the piece.
Yes, in the end.
Yeah. They were doing repetition, but he simply blundered. Also, Wesley So maybe miscalculated or something went wrong. And the pawn end game was super easy win. Even 2000, even 1800 would have won that pawn end game. So I mean,
yeah.
they kind of made his Marcus's job pretty easy.
Yeah, some fortunate breaks for Marcus, to be sure. But that being said, I think I do still like Nikolas's approach here. This is what he does best. He likes going after the king.
I am sorry.
Back to the game.
I saw a question mark here, and I clicked on it.
In case you don't know what en passant is.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, but I like what Nick's doing here. That being said, obviously, you know, White shouldn't be getting checkmated by force or anything yet. Just
making
an
it
ambitious
more
way of
uncomfortable, I guess.
Mm-hmm. How is Wesley doing against John Spielman? Looks like well, I'm willing to say. Wesley's up a pawn for the moment. John might take on b2, regaining the pawn, but the story is going to be this bishop versus this knight. This knight on a5 is a horrible, horrible piece, and the bishop is very strongly placed in the center,
give me two
dominating.
Moves. If you give me 2 moves, I will replace this for probably e1, c1, somewhere nice, and start pushing b4. So,
in addition to that, also you can imagine this rook coming to the 7th rank, when all of a sudden there's going to be some nasty threats on f7. In fact, is bishop f7 a tactic here, or is that a way to try and lose the game?
I mean,
I think personally I would play rook e1 here.
That's what I was thinking
It's the meanest move, and it also looks like probably the best move.
Yeah.
Perhaps king f8 is the plan against this move, though.
You mean if rook e1, king f8?
Rook e1, king f8 I think is more or less forced. And then probably, I would imagine something like queen a7, maybe queen c7, if you can. Although I guess you really can't play those moves, can you?
There's rook d5 that you have
rook
to do.
d5, and you're not quite giving checkmate. So we do see bishop f7. The queen cannot capture due to the rook being hanging. And
so it's just 2 pawns.
Yeah, now it will simply be 2 pawns.
I mean, if we don't win, if Wesley So doesn't win this...
Yeah. You like Wesley's chances, for sure.
Yes.
Rook c1, very, very accurate stuff from Wesley.
Yeah.
Not allowing John the extra couple tempi that come from taking on d6 and having to remove the bishop from f7. Instead, keeping the tension, as strong players often do.
I think I remember this quote that I remember, like, before I started playing international tournaments, like 2014 something.
Right.
When I was reading, when I was still reading books, I read about this quote that Anish Giri said. It was something about, oh, well, we have a result. Perfect. Well, we already have 8 points.
Yeah, so with that win, we actually guarantee a tie in the match, and with just a half more point in the last 3 games, we will be going home victorious. But yeah, you're
oh, yeah.
Telling the story.
He said, like, he quoted something like, if you put your pieces in the right place, they'll dance. It was something like this, but it was about pieces dancing, and I always thought that was such a cool thing to say. And this was it, right? Like, in this situation, you did put your pieces in the good place, and they did the dance for you.
They did all the work. You put the bishop on d5, a powerful square. You bring the rooks to the open file, and somehow it all works out. So that is a full point for Wesley So. Like I said, just a half point needed to guarantee victory in this match. How about we check in on Liem Lee? I think this is a game we haven't looked at yet. And
oh wow, this looks so cute.
Looking well.
I love this position.
Yeah, this huge central majority for Liem Lee coming down the board is going to be very, very powerful. Of course, White trying to create some threats on this long open diagonal, this bishop on b2, but with some cautious play, I expect that Liem Lee will be just crushing here. I think rook f7 would be a prudent move to just defend g7, threaten queen takes c5, threaten things like e3, just keep everything defended.
I think I agree that rook f7 makes so much sense. It's such a logical move. I was thinking about maybe a queen f7, rook e6, rook g6. I was thinking about something like that.
Ah, yeah.
That could be too, but if you play rook f7, you're going for queen c5 as well.
Yeah, and the good news for Liem Lee is you're in no rush here. White's really not going to be creating too much counterplay anywhere on the board. If you just keep your g7 pawn defended, I think there's nothing to worry about. And you can kind of win the game at your leisure. Things like knight b4 and knight d3 are going to be devastating for the white player in the very near future.
Yeah, I agree. This seems well enough. All right, who else do you want to see? Nikolas?
Well, Nikolas is really sticking it to Marcus here, I think. If we catch up to the current position, he did the classic maneuver of putting the queen in front of the bishop, and now queen h2 was unstoppable. And so it was not stopped. And now, where's the knockout punch for Nikolas Theodorou? He plays knight takes e4 first. There's a rook takes e4 check. And now how does he want to respond to this?
Probably bishop e6.
Yeah, bishop e6 seems simple enough. Keep everything defended. And how do you bring another piece into the attack? Is
maybe something like bishop g3, and then you will be rook d8, and maybe some. I mean.
Well, bishop g3 already makes the threat of queen h1 and queen takes g2, right?
Yep.
In fact, we're already threatening that because the queen on d1 is hanging. But I expect bishop e6, probably something like knight c3, and then bishop g3 should be quite powerful.
Maybe rook e6 works as well too. But
yeah, I like having this rook on the board. You know, things like rook f6 could come actually if a move like knight c3 were played.
Yeah, I agree. I like this. Nikolas should have this under control. But yeah, this is fine. So who else do we have? We already
yeah, we could check back in on Leinier.
He played g6 and queen d1. All right. We will take a little break and let them progress, maybe?
I don't know. This g6 move feels kind of strange to me from a practical point of view.
Okay, I wouldn't do it, but I can fully understand why the 2700 do it.
Yeah, I mean, Liem I'm sure has it all under control. But from an amateur's perspective,
thank you.
This is creating some unnecessary difficulties.
I agree, yeah.
Now queen d4 does come with some threats of queen h8 as well as queen g7, whereas before you just had to worry about queen g7. But I'm sure he's got it all figured out. I think, yeah, so queen takes c5. There's a rook c1 move, queen b6. So he's, for the moment, keeping an eye on the d4 square to prevent queen d4 from coming into play.
Yeah, let's give this game a little time.
Yeah.
All right, how is Leinier doing?
Yeah, I think this is the game that's going to be the most interesting here. I do like Leinier's position, but there's no, you know, it's still kind of up in the air what's going on here. The knight on c5 is on a very strong outpost. The bishop on e5 can be kicked at any moment with f4. Then we're kind of isolating our bishop out there on the g6 square. I'm not sure that's the most comfortable for us. Maybe one plan is to bring this bishop back to e3, play a move like queen f2, and start to create some threats of taking on c5. Instead, we see bishop h3 first, activating this bishop. So, yeah, look for moves like g4 maybe to come to open up this diagonal. Definitely not immediately, but in the future, perhaps. What do you think on this position?
I'm giving it some time, honestly.
Okay, yeah, bishop g7. I don't think we want to trade these bishops, actually. I like having these bishops on the board.
I mean, both players are very, they're the strongest of the team. Well, in this match. And, I don't know, it really feels like the positions, like, they both have some ideas and they're both trying to somehow open up, but I can't really see how.
Yeah, I think, so for black, maybe eventually b5 is a common break in these types of structures. So something like b5 could be one way for black to try to open things up. As for white, I think he's just going to want to play with the pieces for a while. There's going to be some pressure along the e file in any line, and also some ideas of trading off the dark squared bishop for the knight in order to gain control of the e6 square. But I think the problem is once you do that, the bishop can kind of forever stay on f6 and defend this one weakness on e7, and it's going to be tough to find progress after this move.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, repetition is not the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, well, it would guarantee our victory in the match, and I'm sure Leinier is keeping an eye on that and knows that.
I'm actually wondering, so how would they be informed about, like, what does the team need? Like, I'm not, like, I mean, if it's...
So, I think that the players are all required to join a group call program with the chess.com organizers, and I think they can like ask questions in the chat to I think Mike.
Middle of their game?
They can ask things about like the team standings, perhaps.
All right.
I could be wrong on this.
Because,
but,
like, I mean, during team tournaments, you can see it physically. Right?
Yeah.
You see the results.
In addition to that, we've had what's called like a proctor for historically for these players, so someone watching the players to make sure they're playing legitimately. And I've done that a couple times. And for example, I was in the room with JJ while he was playing for us, and he had all of the games open on the side as well, so he could see how his teammates were doing and keep track of the scores.
I do remember that, like there, I feel like I've seen some of, like before, like a year and a half ago when Derakhshani was playing, he was either always like getting picked up by Mike and coming here, or he was. I think that was the ideal situation, but I think maybe he played in the chess room at STL too with Alejandro watching. I'm not entirely sure, but there was something.
Watching to make sure the players are doing everything they should.
But like, is that something that's ideal by chess.com?
Yeah,
chess.com.
I'm not sure what all the regulations are. I think these things get a little bit switched up every season, but I'm sure there are plenty of safeguards in place for this sort of thing. That being said, we do have this move G4 come onto the board for Leinier Dominguez. This is how he chose to open things up.
Yeah, they played this F4, G4, which is...
I very much like this for Leinier. I expect to see a move F5 coming in quite soon, and the files around the Black King are starting to be opened, and the bishops, I think, are going to be very, very powerful while this opening up is occurring. I think F5 immediately is also, F5 seems like the logical continuation. If Black wants to keep things closed, he has to commit to G5, which after a move like bishop F3, H6, H4, the files are going to become opened. And I do think that favors the white player here. Sorry, excuse me.
This is so interesting.
Yeah, I very much like what Leinier has done with this position.
Yeah, let's give them a little bit of time. I will check back in a minute. I do want to see how is Nikolas doing, because last we saw he was supposed to be winning-ish.
Looked winning to me, and now it looks like Black has more rooks, and I think that will be a relevant factor in this game.
Oh my God, he castled! I can't believe this. Nikolas Theodorou castled.
A lot of castles of questionable legality in this match, but this one's the first one I think we've actually seen.
Yeah, so hold on. In rook here, he played bishop e6, queen f3, bishop c7.
Oh, wow.
That's the idea. Like, I wanted to say bishop g3, but maybe bishop g3 was too ambitious, maybe?
Yeah, and I think bishop b6 is also the threat that he was aiming for. On this open diagonal, queen g1 now becomes a very, very strong threat.
And then, woo.
Simply castles. Why not?
This is very interesting.
And why not castles?
Rook d4.
Bishop d5. And you see just the full control over the board that these black bishops really have here. And this is what is the main problem for the white player.
We should have like tiny banners, Nikolas.
Yes. And so, how did the game continue with rook takes d5?
Yeah.
And where do we stand now? Yeah, queen f7, king a6, no more checks for white. So we see queen f3. And now how to continue?
That's a good question.
Rook e6 is simple enough. You just want to, or rook g6 as well. You just want to bring in more pieces. Now the threat is queen g1, rook takes g2, and that will be the end of the game, if allowed to happen.
But how can that be stopped, actually?
It's an excellent question. Maybe knight f2 is forced.
Rook g3, maybe?
Rook g3, I suppose.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand this move. I guess queen g1, king e2, and hope for the best. I think now rook e6 is a good move though.
There's so many things.
Yeah, queen h3 is hanging. I didn't even notice.
I was thinking like there should be something that's Yeah,
I mean h3 hanging is simple enough. Now if queen g2, there's rook e6 here, and this is disaster for the white player. I think
this should be it. I kind of don't want to take my eye off of it because I feel like it should be done.
Marcus has worked miracles in the past 3 rounds, but this would be truly absurd if we're unable to win this one.
I'm not sure if Alpha Zero would even be able to hold this with white.
It would be difficult, yeah. It would be difficult. Well, I think Leinier is actually down to just 20 seconds on the clock, so maybe we should keep an eye on this game, as things are still progressing.
All right. Sorry.
Yeah, Leinier down to his final seconds here, but still with a nice position, I think. So yeah, we see the trade of the queens. I expect rook takes, I think. Although there are some merits to pawn takes, I don't think it's quite right here. And then probably rook g7 is Leinier's plan. Oh, or bishop g4.
I mean,
Not
he's
the
a
move I would
pawn.
have expected.
He has one more pawn, if my math is correct, which, yeah.
Yes.
Then it's just, he just doesn't want to risk giving the pawn back.
Right. Totally understandable. And rook f5 would have hit the bishop on f3 as well, so I think maybe this is the prudent choice.
Just simple. Bishop
Yeah,
h3, simple
h3.
choice.
Now we'll see probably a trade of rooks, and then I think the white king will start to march back into the game. And is it enough to win? Maybe. We'll have to see. So yeah, the white king comes to f3.
King f3.
Quickly, Leinier. My goodness. And this is going to be a very, very tough endgame for black to hold. Yeah, king f4 is sensible. There might be a knight d3 check, though.
I mean, even if knight d...
Oh wow, h5. Interesting that he chose to commit to that. I thought bishop h5
Oh, we have a
was what he
result.
was aiming
Nikolas
for.
won.
Nikolas wins!
We won the
So
match.
with that, our match score comes to 9, and we have officially won the match. We will be going home with 10 extra match points for the match victory. But still 2 games remaining, and definitely very, very relevant.
I feel so relieved.
But yeah, still an outstanding performance from Marcus Harvey on board 4 for UK Lions, scoring 2.5 out of 4. A positive score on board 4 is very, very impressive.
I agree.
So how do you win this with white? Perhaps an a3, b4 push is called for. To just open up lines on the queen side. The black rook is pretty much committed to the king side here. I think Leinier is repeating for a bit to gain some time on the clock. And then I think something like rook b1, or you know, he's just taking his time. There's no rush here, definitely. But I think a3 and b4 are the ways for white to continue this game.
Sounds logical, but I mean, you have to be very careful with a3 because there's this knight b3.
Yeah, so I wanted
there.
to play rook b1 first, and then continue with this opening up of the position.
So rook, okay, let's see. Rook is on g3. What are you trying to do? Just king d4?
I think actually I want to go king f4, and then a3, and then b4, all in the next moves.
Where are you going?
Well, he's just giving a check. Checks are fun. Why not? Yeah, no, king f4. And so a3, b4, and I'll start to roll these pawns on the queen side. Seems like a very sensible long-term plan. And in the meantime, I'm not sure black has any sources for counterplay.
What if something like e5?
Something like e5.
Take
I'm not
back with
so
the knight.
sure it helps black's chances. You're allowing access to this d6 pawn, which could be problematic.
That knight on c5 looks good, but it's kind of really misplaced.
Yeah, and now we actually see it rerouting to e5. And wow, the black rook is actually completely out of moves now. This could be a very, very interesting zugzwang type position.
I mean, there's always the king g8.
Well, he can play king g8 and king f8 and king g8 and king f8, but I think now this bishop is corralling the rook entirely and almost entirely the knights. And so that gives white quite a bit of freedom with his remaining rook to kind of do whatever he pleases.
Yeah, should be easy to play a3, b4 now.
And we do have another result. Liem Lee has won his game, bringing our score to now
that is
10.
crushing.
Winning on time, actually, but in a completely winning king pawn endgame. Very good technique from Liem Lee to win this game, but why don't we stick with the final game, as both players are in severe time pressure. And we do finally see this a3 move, and now c5 is his choice to advance. So this pawn is untouchable due to the hanging knight on e5. And now perhaps b4 or a takes. And now with the open, I didn't see this one. And so Leinier wins the match.
4-0.
An incredible 4-0 performance right when it counts in this final round.
Very interesting.
Brings our score to 11-5. A phenomenal performance, I think. Even better than our score against in week 1, I think.
Almost better.
I think it was 10.5 to 5.5 last week.
Well, yes, a little better. We are still hoping for that 16.
Yeah, hoping for that fabled 16 out of 16. But winning 4-0 in this final round really does help our match.
I honestly, I didn't think we would be winning 4-0, but
yeah. I mean, as we said in this final round, board 1 plays board 1, and board 2 plays board 2, and so on. And I think it's that matchup where we really shine. The strength of our players gets to come through. We are favored in almost, I think, in every matchup in this final round. And so the players finally proving they deserve these high ratings and all this respect, and winning 4-0 in the final round.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the performance. And yeah, this Miracle Max? What?
Mystery
Mr.
Marcus.
Thank you.
Maybe Miracle Marcus too. Yeah.
If he managed to pull it off last round, but well, I'm glad with what Nikolas did.
Yeah, Nikolas did manage to take down Marcus with a devastating attack in the final round. Here we see the final results. All 4 St. Louis Archbishops taking down their opponents in the final round. Final score of 11-5 for the Archbishops. That adds 21 points with the extra 10 for winning the match to our division standings. And we're looking to keep these scores up in the weeks to come.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts for us here, Dorsa?
I'm very glad with this round game. I will definitely go back and check that attacky game of Leinier.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm glad we're doing it again next week. And who are we playing next week?
Nobody knows. We'll have to check the schedule for that. By all means, go to ProChessLeague.com if you're interested in checking out these match standings and the upcoming schedule. With that in mind, some phenomenal chess this round. It was a pleasure to commentate. Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us.
Yeah.
We will join you next Monday on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, for more coverage of round 3 of the Pro Chess League here in 2020.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
This has been a presentation of the St. Louis Chess Club.